Okay, we're live. We're live. Good morning and welcome to the Bipolar Sunrise. I'm your host, Garrett Nichols.
I'm Ryan Sullivan.
Nate.
John.
Hey, John. You guys gotta say your last names. It sounds professional.
I think everybody knows me that's watching this.
Okay, good morning. It's been several weeks since all four of us have gotten together. Being Pride Month, John pretty much went hard in the paint every weekend to celebrate. So, nothing wrong with that. If you're into that sort of thing, which he is. So, did anybody have any topics that they wanted to discuss this morning?
I do.
Lay it on us.
You know that thing I always said it only has to happen once for it to be true?
Okay.
I was talking to Nate and Ryan about this, but there was a new blood type. This woman's got the rarest blood, and she's the only one with this blood they know of so far. And I thought that was kind of odd.
What's special about the blood?
Do you remember exactly what it was?
So you have your normal blood types like A, B, AB, O, and then O negative, and then all of the A and B and O's can have negatives and positives. This one, but then there's an extra part with that, which is antigens. Like there's people who have negative antigens, and then if they get blood with antigens, they have a reaction towards it. This lady has no antigens, so that fourth part that nobody really talks about because it's not always a big deal. This one is
Zero
antigens, and it probably means she
It's an alien.
well, it probably possibly,
No,
but it just means that all blood types that have antigens can't be given to her, and so it sucks for her.
So she couldn't get a blood transfusion if she got into a car wreck and lost a lot of blood
Dialysis
or whatever.
maybe.
Yeah, even with the universal donor, which is O negative, it means that they'll have to find an O negative with zero antigens.
Can they
too.
remove antigens from the blood?
So how rare do you think this really is? I mean, what are the chances of just one person on planet Earth having this? Do they not check for it?
Well, they check for it if you had problems in the past, and then that's probably why they check that for her, because she's had problems in the past, and then yeah.
You think they like checked her parents, brother, sister? I mean, how does something like that actually happen? Anomalies that just fucking happen.
Yeah,
It's like that woman that was getting sued by the state because said her kids weren't hers because the DNA didn't match. It was more like her husband. That was another weird thing I come across a couple years back. Huh.
It's weird. I'll have to do more research, but yeah,
It's kind of like Jurassic Park where there's a way, there's a will.
yeah,
Yeah.
life will find a way.
It's fucking odd, and it will.
No antigens in the blood. What do antigens do for the body?
It basically, from what I understand, which I could be wrong, but it's like mine, not mine, and hers are always going to say not mine. We can get blood from different people because we remove everything that says mine, not mine, but for her, everything is not mine.
But what are the antigens? What's their job? It's
There's-
to say,
Well, if something foreign enters your body,
right?
your body is going to attack it and treat it as a foreign material, and that's part of the reason why we realize that we just can't give blood to anybody, because a lot of people have not mine markers on it,
Mm-hmm.
and from what I understand, the antigen is just an extra, not mine, and so if and most of our bodies don't I mean they accept the extra antigen part because that's why you can go to Red Cross and give blood no matter what. But with her, everything, absolute everything is not hers.
I wonder how many times she's went to donate blood.
Well, for her, she probably can give to. Well, I think she was like A positive or a B positive or something like that. So she can give to other people with her blood type. She just can't
Receive.
from other people with her blood type because her body will automatically say, not mine.
Rejection.
But because she doesn't have that antigen, she can give it to just anybody. Like her blood, for people who have an antigen reaction, her blood is perfect for them. But it's not perfect for her.
I wonder what happens when a vampire bites into her. Ugh. No antigens in here.
What's going on?
I don't drink no antigen. It's like probably non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah,
so somebody that likes to drink beer.
Or it could be like they drink it and it's like, holy crap, this is the best blood in the
This is the
world.
best
She's
blood
real
I've
life,
ever had.
that is.
Purest shit ever.
Yeah.
It's like skim milk versus whole milk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would imagine, but this kind of, I mean, it doesn't prove my point, but it definitely lends a little bit of evidence, at least toward my hypothesis, which is vampires are a cabal that run the Red Cross.
It's just gotta happen once.
And they discover this, they're like obviously testing all the blood. They're like, no antigen blood. And, you know, one of them was like, let's taste that shit. You know?
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know what this could do. And now you got one vampire that's out there fucking addicted to non-antigen blood, and he's doing, you know.
We probably had like instead of lactose intolerant, he's just gonna have antigens.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, finally, there's like a.
This whole time he's been shitting himself every time he eats somebody, but he finally found somebody. He's like, oh, finally, oh my God, my bowels feel wonderful for the first time in years.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to keep her alive.
Yeah.
You'd be calling a Red Cross. Maybe my wife doesn't have antigens in her blood because the Red Cross texts her, calls. I'm not so sure she's not cheating on me with a guy named Red Cross. Because there's a lot of times that Red Cross just pops up on the phone. Like, Red Cross again, huh? Oh, they really want my blood. That's what she says. I'm like, yeah, right.
They also called me.
I was
So
gonna say
if
You
it's Red
don't-
Cross, then
The
the
Red Cross
minute you
is not
donate, man,
discriminatory.
they're like vultures. They'll call. I get texts,
especially
get emails.
if you
Have
have
you
O
ever
negative
donated
or O
blood?
positive blood.
Apparently they have. I'm not giving my fucking blood to the
So
vampires.
I
No
have
way.
no problem donating blood. Like if Ryan over here, any of you guys, you know, need blood, I have no problem giving it to you. The problem I got, they're wanting me to give it, but they're not wanting it. They're taking my blood out of me and they're charging, I don't know how many dollars a pint of blood cost. That's the part I don't really agree with. They're making money off
for
my blood.
free and-
They're saving lives, John.
I have no problem saving lives. I'll give my blood to you for free. But the thing is like you're not taking blood out of my body, charging some poor guy $500 a pint. Or is it quarts? Pints? I don't know.
Yeah, pints.
Pints. And I'm like, I can't get behind that. And I get a fucking cookie and a little glass of orange juice. And if I do it enough times, I get a free shirt.
Because your blood
Fuck
sugar
all
levels are
y'all.
low. You need the cookie.
But it's also cheaper when I go drinking that evening.
Oh yeah, you probably
It
get
is,
hammered
yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
You do.
Huh.
You're a cheap
It's
date.
like,
Yeah, you're a cheap
You're like,
date.
I'm a couple pints low. Give me a beer.
So
We'll see how this goes.
You've been keeping up on this the Liver King guy versus Joe Rogan?
No, I honestly, I saw a couple of clips where he was. It looks like he's been up for a few days on meth.
Liver.
He may be. I don't know what he's drying livers out and powdering them up and snorting them, but the guy's on something, some nose candy of some sort. I saw a clip that didn't have anything. The Liver King wasn't in it. Joe Rogan wasn't in it. It was just a guy talking about how the Liver King has threatened several people, but it looks like he's going through some stuff right now. He looks bad because I saw another clip where he was like climbing like a monkey across the ground and then said something, but they cut the clip off. And he looked, I mean, I just saw the guy was on Rogan a couple of years ago looking primal as
Yeah,
fuck,
I remember that
ripped.
episode.
And then it came out shortly thereafter that he was on roids, and Rogan's like, told you.
Yep.
He's like, and let's be honest, guys, like, the guy's what, how old? He's 50, damn close to it, and just shredded to fucking bits and large too. Like, you lose muscle mass over time. If you're 50 and super shredded like that, like, I'm not, there's outliers everywhere of humans that are just outstanding athletes that got, they keep their physical appearance for a long time, eat crappy food, and still seem to be pretty ripped. But the Liver King's not one of those guys. He's just a normal dude like any of us that got hooked up on steroids and then tried to promote his own supplement line by saying if you point your son at the asshole twice, you point your asshole at the sun twice a day, and you eat raw, and this is what you'll look like. That a lot of people jumped on that shit. They're like, "Oh, I'm primal."
Yeah.
People are easily swayed, and when they see something that looks easy, it's easy, it works fast, and you get these results. They're gonna try it like it's a pill.
Women are definitely more. Do you want to lose 60 pounds, not do anything, and eat whatever you want? This is for you.
Mhm.
Women will jump on that every time. I'm sure there's guys out there too, but yeah, it's kind of easily manipulate people in a situation like that with all the media shit we got today.
Well, there's
And he had a documentary out too. I watched. I can't remember where it was at here. Probably 2 or 3 months ago. The Liver King.
he came out with, it's a recent documentary that he came out with, or
It was about him getting busted.
Oh,
and
it
he
did?
came out and apologized, and yeah, I mean, it was about him and how this whole thing kind of blew up. And then I can't remember how many. Dude, it was like thousands of dollars a week, roids or whatever it was he was on, if I remember correctly. Like I said,
yeah.
it's been a few.
because
months,
he was
but-
using growth hormone as well, and that stuff gets outrageously expensive. And I don't think that the price point that they've set growth hormone at, even on the black market, is sustainable for somebody with just a 9 to 5 that is just in the gym after work, not being a professional bodybuilder. But these guys that are not professional bodybuilders, at least he's got some income because of it. Like the dude's got a physique though, like he's crazy built. And that growth hormone, this is just what I'd say, like you've got to take it for like 6 months to really see results, and they're not nearly as good a result, in my opinion, that you would get from just taking anabolic steroids alone and not having the growth hormone added in there. Your organs grow, everything grows. I mean, all your organs are muscles. So as you take this growth hormone, your lungs get bigger. You've seen Big Papa Pump on the WWE. You guys know him?
I've heard of them. I don't.
You guys will remember from back in the day, the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
That's Big Papa Pump's one of the guys. But he's got this huge gut. I mean, it sticks out that far, but it's just ripped with abs. But his stomach's ascending because of the growth of all the organs. So it's like ascending his stomach out. So he's got a gut all the time, even though it's ripped solid hard.
So his pecs stick out further? Or
His stomach sticks out further than his pecs because his stomach is like, he's low body fat. He's probably 5% body fat, maybe lower than that. He's so vascular. But because of the organs and everything growing as well, he can't ever get that chest bigger than his stomach.
So is that one of those things, like if you get off it, your stuff will shrink down? Or you kind of fucked, like it's just always going to be bigger?
No, I don't know, because the way that a growth hormone works, even the way that anabolic steroids work, so say that you're introducing a synthetic hormone into your body, and that synthetic hormone is testosterone. Your pituitary gland will stop releasing testosterone on its own because your body feels the presence of a high amount of testosterone. With that high amount of testosterone, your natural estrogen cycle also picks up. So that's why most people have to take an aromatase inhibitor to stop that testosterone from aromatizing into estrogen, which your body's already producing more of because of the synthetic testosterone you're putting in your system. Now your body's adding the extra estrogen to make up for that imbalance. So now you've got added estrogen in your system. You're not taking an aromatase inhibitor, so not only is your body producing more estrogen, that testosterone that's not being used is aromatizing even into more estrogen. So you're not only super jacked up on testosterone, but you're super jacked up on a natural estrogen. So you get gynecomastia and things like that, puffy nipples and things like that, the acne. The side effects come because your body's trying to make up for one part of what you're injecting into it, if that makes sense. Like, you're putting testosterone in there to raise that, but your body is like, oh, whoa, there's something foreign in our system. Let's balance this out. And so if you don't take something else, an aromatase inhibitor, to stop that, you're even making more estrogen. So you are high on testosterone, but now you're high on estrogen as well, which people don't want. So what I'm saying is, after you take that, if you just stop working out and you stop eating a lot of food, you got to have protein, you're going to lose a good majority of that mass that you've put on. And I would assume, but growth hormone works, I guess it works in the same manner as but most people, by the time that they're taking a growth hormone, their body's already stopped kind of releasing that. I don't think the growth hormone only stops like around 25 to 30 years old. Like, it starts to wean itself. You're slowly releasing less and less because you're not growing any longer. But if you introduce that growth hormone, I would assume, and I don't know this, I would assume that your body is saying, hey, we've got a bunch of growth hormone in our system all of a sudden. And I don't know what the body's response to that is.
I wonder if that.
But yes, I just have to think that you lose. If you don't continue the growth hormone,
Just kind of shrink back
I
out.
don't know about the organs and stuff though, because,
Right.
and I don't know
Like
any
your
of these guys. if they're
pituitary
still-
gland, will that keep growing then? Like, can you get taller or bigger in a situation like that?
The pituitary gland, is just a response to chemical reactions within the body. So everything's a chemical reaction, no matter what happens
Right.
with us. If we move our fingers, if we twitch our nose, those are all chemical reactions happening in the body. Your brain's sending the signal, and then that signal has to go here, go there,
Database,
and
yeah.
it just sorts it all out for you. I wish I could explain it a little bit better, but I'm just kind of part of this. I'm talking out my ass. I'm just assuming some things
Right.
and correlating them with other things. But I think that's the way it works. And I would assume that if you stop taking growth hormone, then those organs that are growing would stop growing. I just don't. Unfortunately, I think your muscles lose, but I don't think your organs go
Yeah,
back to the same size.
I don't
I
think
think you're
the-
fucked. You
yeah,
get
I
a
don't think
enlarged heart.
organs-
I don't think you can make your heart smaller. Like, it's enlarged now. Lungs, same thing. I mean, you may know more about it than I do, but that's
Well,
think the way it goes.
From what I understand, once your organs grow, they're not going to go back.
And that's dangerous. I mean, it really is, because and that's what's fucked up is your dick's a gland, your dick's an organ, your dick's a muscle. Why doesn't it grow? Everything else grows in your body, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your fucking biceps, and still you got this little dick fucking poking between your legs. That's the ultimate trick, like, well, we can get you fucking looking like
ultimate
Adonis. You can look like a Greek god, but those guys all have little dicks, so
I mean,
here's the handoff. Ripped six pack and a little dick, or moderate dick with a gut that hangs over your moderate dick. Oh, let me tell you guys about this stuff, because this is pretty cool. So recently a study's been done, and I listen to you people that are listening and watching. I heard somebody else talk about the study that was done. I haven't laid eyes on the study myself. This is just second, even third-hand information.
You went on a deep dive on it yet?
I haven't went on a deep dive yet, but you guys know about you've seen the bulls, you've seen kangaroos, pit bulls, other types of animals that have what they call double muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a condition where they don't release myostatin like regular folks would. So their muscles grow. So this study, they took like 40 primates, and I could be wrong about this. Don't quote me, and you go Google it yourself, because I'm just telling the story. They did, let's say, 40 primates, and they put them in 3 control groups. One of them was on a GL1 or a GLP-1, which is like Monjuro or any of the things that the ladies are taking. Right now, it's a diabetes medication, but you lose weight, curves your appetite. So the one group of primates was on the GLP-1, a myostatin inhibitor, and then one other thing that'll come to me, but I can't remember. Then a control group was given no GLP-1 and no myostatin inhibitor, and then the other group was given just the one. I don't know exactly how it went, but here's the results basically from what I remember from my memory. The monkeys, the primates that they gave the GLP-1 to and they gave the myostatin inhibitor to in a calorie deficit, and monkeys don't work out. You guys ever seen a monkey get down on the bench press and go to town? They
I've
weren't
seen them do pull-ups and
they
run
weren't
around
working
trees.
out.
That's a workout.
Right, but this isn't the case. That's just normal everyday activity. They weren't pumping iron.
Okay.
They lost 150 grams of body fat and gained like double that in muscle mass in a calorie deficit, not working out. So they lost weight, got fucking
Ripped.
jacked, muscles growing
That's terrifying.
in a calorie deficit. Right? They grew lean muscle mass, lost body fat, and I mean, like the way that this guy had described it, he's like basically when steroids came on the scene in the late '60s, early '70s, and you just started seeing guys get abnormally big.
We all watch
jacked.
wrestling.
He said this is going to be the same thing. He's like, it'll make the '70s look like there was never any steroids. It'll be so because you just take. It's going to be such a small amount, and the way that anabolic steroids are so hard on the human body, especially high doses and long-term use, lots of complications that come from that.
Oh, definitely so. We've seen a lot of our stars, like I said, wrestling. How many of those guys end up with problems, dying?
A lot, you know.
Yeah.
And they also get into a lot. I think that with the wrestlers, in their defense,
You get into pills because they hurt.
they're
then you're
injured
taking-
all the time. You're taking pain pills on top of the high blood. You know, steroids cause high blood pressure. There's no secret there. And then you're taking a opioid that
Probably
also,
drinking alcohol on top of that.
I'm sure, and doing other
A
drugs.
little cocaine.
And you know, it's just a cocktail that warps the mind and the body and everything else. But now you're taking a drug that doesn't have those harsh side effects on your body, and there's no synthetic. It's not a synthetic hormone. It's inhibiting just something that your body does. Now, I would wonder if you take a myostatin inhibitor long enough, if your body will stop doing the myostatin on its own, and you just are jacked all the time. And these guys are jacked. Like
What do you
you've
think
seen
the
them.
side effects are of this?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they would be nearly as harsh as anabolic steroids,
I'm sure
especially
you're
in long-term
correct
use.
on there.
But I'm sure there's side effects.
Well, it's like,
No matter what you do, you take too much vitamin C, your body reacts. You don't take enough. I mean, you gotta have
vitamin
a
D. We
balance.
talked about that on here.
Sure. Yeah, you gotta have a.
There's like a moderation. What we've talked about is key.
Which is odd to me throughout history. We're the most technologically advanced that we've been, as far as we know in human history, and we still don't understand what we should be eating. We don't know what a good diet is. There's still you could have the smartest minds in the world, and one of them is going to say you should just be eating a vegetarian diet, just vegetables. One of them is going to say maybe
All
you
meat.
should only eat meat. Another group will say you need to eat meat and vegetables to balance it. Some people say you only need to eat once a day. Then some people say, well, you got to have 3 squares a day. There's so much debate about our food source, and we, being the smartest species in the world, are slowly killing ourselves off and have no idea how to be, not only how to get along, how to eat healthy, how to be, I guess, how to live in harmony with each other. We can't do it. It's impossible for the human race.
Or we're so
To be
influenced
happy.
by all this other shit around us.
You think it's more that we don't care about what we eat? There's so much other stuff going on that takes a back seat to health? Or
I think
I
you'd
guess-
be noticing things a lot differently if there wasn't grocery stores or markets you could just go to, restaurants. Like in today's come, everybody's gonna kind of team up. You're gonna be like trying to figure out how to hunt, fish, live off the land. I think your body craves what it. I think primal instinct will kind of kick in, and you kind of know what your body needs. It'll
Well,
tell you. I think.
Yeah, but I also think that we're brainwashed.
Oh, we definitely
like
are.
every
All of us.
every commercial, everything that we
Subliminal
see
messages and
is,
stuff.
is focused on food. Like 9 out of every 10 commercials is either drugs or
Oh, definitely. I
or-
think we're like one of the few countries that
That is
actually
true.
has drug commercials.
Yeah,
Fucking drug commercials are.
constant.
It's gotten to where we'll say along with the commercial. We've seen it so many times that we'll say part of what they're getting ready to say, or it's like.
And the side effects all sound horrible on all of them.
Yeah.
There's no drugs that they advertise on TV that
They're
there's-
worse than what they're treating.
It is. A lot of times you're like, man, I sound like this is just a little
It
stomach
goes
ache.
bleeding from the eyes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
May cause
Right,
sudden death in
insomnia.
some patients.
Gout,
Yeah.
frostbite.
Like sudden death, I've got an allergy problem. What? You know, what are we trying to do here?
Yeah, like the guy with the that goes to the movie
Yeah,
with that girl.
It's just
It's like, this is a terrible commercial where he's like, and then he
Got
knocks over.
dandruff.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever notice too when they play any commercial for HIV or AIDS medication, it's always gay couples in the ads.
Yeah. There'll be like one straight couple.
One
and then
straight couple, the rest are
are
like two dudes holding hands walking down the beach, another two
Yep.
girls out on a camping trip. It's like, what? That seems odd to me. Like you're just basically saying, you know, you could take this medication if you may have contracted HIV through a homosexual encounter.
Right.
Well, race has
If
a
you're
lot to do
straight.
with it too. I see a lot of blacks in commercials like that. It's like if you're watching BET, I remember watching that. There'd be a good movie on. There was always like AIDS commercials in those communities. So it was one of those like, are they more acceptable to getting AIDS, or is it just where they're from? I wonder, like in a situation like that.
Or just could be because it's BET, they're
Black
marketing to the
entertainment.
demographics.
Yeah, but it
could
just
be
seemed
on
like it was
that.
one of those things like I don't know what the percentage of African Americans are that contract AIDS compared to white America, but
Right.
it's just kind of
Give
a
it a
weird.
Google. And maybe it's higher, and maybe that's why they're like, well, we got to get these. Is that? I haven't seen. I guess when I think about a gay couple, I think about two white dudes.
Yeah,
I don't see a ton of black gays. Maybe it's because I'm not. It's, you know, I'm watching TV. Maybe they don't
Right.
put it on as much. It's not like. But I'm walking around the streets. Well, in Emporia, you're just gonna see a bunch of butch lesbians walking around with lumberjack shirts on,
right.
hopping out of Subarus.
And none of them hot.
None of them hot.
Good Lord.
But you're not. I guess maybe that's the demographic that we see.
Mm-hmm.
But
It
I don't.
definitely
You're
is.
not seeing a bunch of gay dudes running around Emporia or they're closeted. You know, they're like, yeah, I'm not coming out yet. You know, still a little bit too redneck. But the girls are like, no, we don't care.
So you tell me lesbian girls are gay? Yeah, yes. Drive
Yeah.
Subarus?
I mean, not all. I hate
It
to.
was voted the 2025 safest car to drive. Just so you know, so.
I
I
just
saw
assume
that
if you're driving a
commercial.
Mustang, you're probably already a little gay
Yeah.
as a dude.
About
Yeah,
4
I guess
million
that's
times.
one way to tell.
Consumer Reports,
Doesn't help that we just binge watch.
American Dad.
Yeah.
Great show, by the
It
way.
is a
It is.
phenomenal show.
Yeah, it's funny and terrible at the same time.
Oh yeah, but I gotta like that. humor
Like
in
Ancient
that.
Aliens.
What about it?
It's terrible and funny at the same time.
That dude cracks me up.
With the hair.
Yes.
They couldn't have picked anybody that, like, I'm not taking the show that serious just because of him.
He's played in a few movies that kind of same part. Well, he was on an episode of Resident Alien.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Resident Alien is hilarious.
Yes. Speaking of which, there's a new season of that out.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys gonna go hold hands and watch it later, or what?
Maybe. Mind your business.
Yeah, I mean, fun. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
They only got
Being
one more
honest,
day.
Hey, one more day of
They
Pride
got
Month.
one more day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Soak up the sun.
24 hours of gayness left in the month.
Oh my God.
So I watched a little bit of that documentary that you sent me, and
Me?
I was gonna talk about it a little bit today
Talk about it.
because I've read a little bit the book. So I'll just, for you guys that don't know what we're talking about, John has sent me a sort of, it was pretty brief, right? 34 minutes, I think it was,
Yeah.
a small documentary on, basically it was Terence McKenna's theory, the stoned ape theory, where it was from the Y-Files, is where you pulled that from?
That may have been the Y-Files when I watched a lot of that
that's
too.
the one you,
Okay.
you sent me.
Yeah.
With the talking fish.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially in this
Hacklefish.
hypothesis, this guy he's come up with a theory that at some point in time in history, that primates ventured into the plains and out of the jungle and found mushrooms.
They're
Well-
following the cattle or whatever they were eating, and the cow patties always grew these mushrooms, and then they started taking those, and that's the stoned ape theory-ish.
Right. So this what it's explaining is the expansion of the human brain in such a short period of time. We were basically small brain primates, maybe not using tools, maybe using some tools, but really not very advanced as far as our brains were small. And then somewhere within about 100,000 years, our brains grew 20% in size to kind of what size that they are today.
Like an evolutionary jump from. It
Yeah.
should have taken millions of years to be where we're at. We did in a couple thousand.
Right. So a little pushback on this guy's theory is because I've read another book several times. It's very interesting to me. William von Hippel wrote a book called The Social Leap. His theory is along the same theory. Almost everything goes the same, except for he doesn't believe that they took mushrooms to expand the brain size and develop the brain, but he believes it was nutrition. We started to figure out how to harness fire,
Cook
food,
nutritional values out of the food.
correct, and that would explain, we were in a calorie deficit for a long time. So essentially, if I had to figure out a problem, I'm sitting in a tree and I've got to figure out how I'm going to catch this prey or get food, this is taking energy, which is calories. And if I'm in a calorie deficit as it is every day, I'm barely getting the calories I need. There's no room for expansion of the brain or growth in the brain because your body has to survive. So you're in survival mode. Maybe a fire breaks out. As the fire breaks out, these primates find that, not only does the cooked meat, the burnt meat taste better, but they found chestnuts and things like that had been roasted in the fire. Those tasted better. They were more nutrient dense. So now they're figuring out, okay, fire makes the food good. We want good food. And then over the next, let's just say 100,000 years, they refine their techniques of harnessing fire, making fire, cooking more foods. With more calories in their body, they're not as tired. They can hunt more often. While they're hunting more often, their brains have a better chance to grow and develop and also at the same time, he also says, let's say every 76,000 years, there's a gene in our body that comes on. And if it has the requirements it needs, that gene will stay active, right? And this would be the brain growth and development time. The gene comes on, somehow symbiotically comes on within the primate. They have the resources that they need. They have the calories to meet this needs of this gene that's flipped on. They have the environmental criteria to meet. They're out of the weather. They're not getting as sick. They're living a little longer. Now they have more nutrients.
You think that alters their DNA at all? In time?
If you have a gene that's inactive and then it's active, like a cancer cell, yes,
Right.
it affects your body because that gene comes on. Now, whether it changes the telomeres of the DNA, makes them longer, or anything like that, it could be. Maybe we didn't live more than 20 years as this primate population, but as our brains grew and we evolved into more of what you see today, then maybe yes, we have longer lives.
Which we're still trying to
I don't know.
catch. We're still trying to catch up to because there's been proof. Well, I wouldn't say proof. Theorized, like if you see primates like eating in the wild, they have to say you have a gorilla eating bamboo. He's constantly chewing it up with his big old jaws. And they'll actually spit it back out and put it back in and continue chewing this shit. So food's definitely got easier to eat, but we have wisdom teeth are supposed to, and we're the only like primate that really brushes our teeth or has like mouth issues.
Because they don't eat sugar all day long.
I don't think it has anything to do with
Mm.
sugar. I mean, I'm sure they
Processed
probably.
food also.
But
Yeah.
now our mouths are getting smaller because we don't have to work as hard to
Don't
chew
have to
our
chew.
food. So now our wisdom teeth are a problem. We're having jaw issues. The human mouth is getting smaller.
It's harder to breathe.
But then you really think
Lots
about
of
it, like if you
braces.
look at aliens, of course none of us have really seen one, but they always have a real small slit. So there's a possibility like where they just juicing all day and you eventually like your mouth's just gonna get smaller and smaller, eyes getting bigger so you can see. So I don't
Fish's
know.
eyes get real big when they're starving.
What's gonna happen like in
They
another
do.
couple
Yeah.
100,000 years? How fucked are our teeth gonna be? Are we even gonna need teeth in the future?
I've heard people have the same sort of notion that you have is like brains get even bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. Our
But-
nutritional value is gonna get easier to get.
The aliens we see have little scrawny limbs, seem to be pretty frail and fragile.
Yeah.
Is that because that they don't need their mouths because of telepathy?
Because they don't talk.
They
and
don't talk. They just
Yeah.
use telepathy. They don't need to eat nearly what we eat. Maybe they've found a way to absorb nutrients in another way. Yeah, it's all a possibility. Are aliens? I heard a cool one the other day. Not the first time I've heard it, but what if aliens are us, just an advanced? Say that from the pyramid times, we don't know where they came from. All those people are like, oh fuck. So regular humans are not evolving. They're not. They didn't listen to us, or they're so far advanced. They're like, let's just separate ourselves from these guys. Go move into the ocean. We're living on the ocean floor now. We haven't just explored hardly any of the ocean. So they've got a whole colonies of advanced humans that are these frail, because they've figured out peace. They figured out harmony. They're like, no wars. We don't need muscle. There's no vanity. Muscle doesn't turn girls on. We just tell.
The smartest guys, it's brain power.
When
That muscle.
when I pass my brain power over to this female alien, I think she looks like a Greek goddess, and I look like a Greek god. Like whatever turns her on, that's what I look like in her brain. We can mate through. And, I don't know. I'm just talking out my
Yeah,
ass. But
it's kind of a cool. I mean, honestly, if you were to come to planet Earth, there's so little land. It'd be more. Why would you not adapt to the water?
yeah, you're already probably having to adapt to the environment, which is oxygen, or oxygen enriched, or oxygen
Rich
depleted.
water. Yeah,
Wherever
the case
they're
may be.
from, and they're like, "Fuck this! It's going to be hard enough to breathe." And they can see us on land, but under the water, there's nobody under here, no intelligent life anyway.
They may have been here before we were here.
Long before, yeah.
Yes.
I mean
That's the theory. That is interesting.
I would have to say if
Either
someone
listened or done any research on that? Either one of you two?
Not really, but I also read that most of our oxygen, they say it comes from the rainforest, but it actually comes from the ocean.
Oh yeah, it definitely comes from the ocean. There's more plant life in the ocean
Yeah.
than there is in the rainforest, of course.
Yeah, and that gives us majority of the oxygen we require. So
But I hear the oxygen level is different now than it was like back in the day of the dinosaurs. If you're trying to bring a dinosaur back today, the oxygen, there's not enough compared to what it was back then for them to breathe in.
I've never read that. Yeah.
Well, I think that's because they do ice cores, right? They core into the ice and they check the levels that way, or they do core samples and they can see how much nitrogen's in the soil versus how much oxygen would have been in the soil at that time.
Yeah.
And that's probably not a perfect science. I
Well,
mean, if you talk to anybody that's a devout Christian, maybe a Christian scientist, because they're out there too,
Yeah.
they're going to describe that in a different way. They're going to say, well, carbon dating is not accurate.
Yeah.
The world's only 6,000 years because I have to go off of this,
Off the Bible.
off the
Well,
Bible, whatever.
If you ignore a cataclysmic event, the carbon dating is going to be off. Just because, let's say, the entire planet is covered in water for some reason, the carbon dating is going to change. But if you don't account for that in the carbon dating, then there are, because you don't know. So in carbon dating, you take the sample, and then you extrapolate from its half-life. So because this has lost this amount of uh, uh, atoms or whatever because of blah 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 because of time, then yeah, carbon dating works that way. But if you don't adjust for things that could affect everything,
Like affecting the carbon dating,
yeah, because
salt water would do that.
Everything. Probably.
everything, like if we don't know what caused blah blah blah. So if we have a giant meteor that hits the Earth and kills all the dinosaurs, we don't know what the meteor was composed of. You don't know what like it could have been completely radioactive and
Right.
then spread throughout the entire Earth. It would affect the
Carbon
carbon dating.
Yeah.
So you're basing it off of something without it based on cataclysmic events.
It's kind of funny you say that because I was watching a documentary. This has been years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago. And there was a guy that had a barn and it had wooden pillars under the barn, stabilizing it. And they were trying to carbon date like the foundation of some sort. Like I said, this is pretty. The thing I got out of the story is they're trying to figure out because some of the barn was newer than like the bottom part of the barn, but come to find out like the cows in the barn were urinating on the floor, which was going into the pillars, causing them to turn to stone, which aged them way faster than they should have been. So I don't know if that was
That's another problem. We can only carbon date organic matter. You can't carbon date stone.
So
you
this is
have
carbon
to-
dating wood
Well, I
that
know
is now
it's-
turned to stone because of the urine.
But
So I'm
the-
guessing it's probably the ammonia and the salt in the
But the
piss,
problem
I'm
with it
guessing.
is like, say I want to carbon date the stone in this barn, so I'm going off the organic matter that is close in proximity to the barn. We don't know how old that organic matter is, whether
Right.
it was before the barn was built, whether it was during the barn was being built, or 500 years after the barn was being built. You can't tell, so you can only correlate. Like we found some organic matter in the pyramids, and so we carbon date that. And we're like, oh yeah, it's it's 15,000 years old. And they're like, no, that's impossible because there was no dynastic Egyptians at that time. So like, oh, okay, well then it was before. It's just theory at that point. You
Right.
can't, and then that's why carbon dating. I think it's a tool
It
and
definitely
a guide.
is.
Yeah.
But if you want to be accurate, how do you prove that? You can't prove it. You cannot prove that. Let's just say that we carbon dated a piece of organic matter that we found. We believe it to be 30 million years old from what the carbon dating says. Okay, cool. You found a human remains that are 30 million years old, right? In a cave or in a pyramid, in a structure. Is the structure that old? Or is it older and the person is younger that you found in there, the biological matter?
Yeah.
That's like what the problem is when you're
Yeah.
carbon dating, you can't actually carbon date the earth. It has to be something organic, and that could be, if it was piss, it could have been a cow pissing in there from prehistoric cow. It
Right.
could have been cows pissing in there from 1960s. You can't tell.
Yeah, and even if the world didn't get covered by water, maybe it just burned, and then that's going to change
Yeah, it'll change it.
things. Or maybe it was a radioactive meteor, and it just blasted the whole Earth with radiation. That's definitely going to change the carbon dating.
Probably even
Well,
going the
also,
polar
I mean-
opposite, it's going to change it. Like if an ice age were to occur,
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
and-
yeah,
Well,
Or lack of an ice age.
Yeah.
we have an entire continent still covered in ice. We are still, in my opinion, in an ice age.
Well, technically we are.
Yeah, and if so this cooling, like global warming, we're going back to what we were supposed to be if we still have a continent covered in ice. It shouldn't be covered in ice because that's not our natural thing. Like we had dinosaurs that lived in warmer weather all over the whole planet. So it's not global warming, it's global rewarming, in my opinion. But a lot of people don't
It's
like
always
that.
been the same. I mean, history's going to repeat itself.
Yeah,
So would
we
you say
have
if all the
such short
water,
lives, dude, we live like 80 years.
yeah,
It's a blip in our, even just the Earth's history. 80 years is fucking nothing. You can think of all the things you wanted to think. Somebody's thought of them already. You know, at this point in time, they've probably got more. Our race has probably advanced way further than what we are right now.
oh, shoulda,
More than once.
it's happened. Oh yeah,
At
numerous
least
times.
once, yeah.
At least one time. I mean, the pyramids, we still can't explain that.
We
And dynastic
can't do that
Egypt
now.
doesn't seem to. We still can't do it. It would take, let's just say what mainstream archaeology says is 24 years is how long it took to build the pyramid. So you're talking about 200,300,000 stones total, or somewhere around there, ranging from 1 ton up to 75 tons. The largest being above the King's Chamber, 400 feet in the air. And we did it with ramps, soil ramps that then we removed later. I don't think so. It doesn't. 24 years, dude. Like, this is what I keep saying. Like, how long do you think it would take you, Ryan? How long do you think if I started teaching you now? Oh, well, let's say I started teaching you at 12 how to become a stonemason that could cut not only stones that aren't square,
Precision stones.
precision stones that are geometrically aligned with the stone under it, to each side of it and above it, with slants on every side. They're not square.
And they said, some people say that they did it with slaves.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
like
you're a slave, and
uneducated people.
not only I'm teaching you geometry and stone cutting, masonry with copper bars and sand, and I'm like, cut this edge straight, motherfucker. Like, you're a slave. Like, slaves are like, typically the reason they're slaves is because they weren't nearly as advanced as the population that took them over.
Right.
And what was their, they were so far advanced, like, oh, these little villages were doing arithmetic and geometry, and we just took them over because they're so far advanced, like, they wouldn't need slaves at that point. You would have the technology, in my opinion. It just blows my mind
it's a
that
good
the
thought.
slave theory that you're compiling the slave theory on top of the theory of 24 years to build the pyramid, and you're saying that, like, I'll give you that it took 24 years. All right, let's give you that, but you didn't do it with people. It would take generations of slaves to build these pyramids.
Well,
Thousands and thousands.
And if they were advanced enough, they're going to realize or understand that slaves are wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
So if you're advanced enough to make pyramids, you're not going to be using slaves.
I agree with you, man.
You're
I
going
don't
to be
think
trying
so.
to give your information and your technology to other people.
I got a little bit of theory though on that. I don't think. Oh, when I say I don't think, it's not me that I don't think it. I like the idea of the pyramids are just the tip of the iceberg. That sand ain't always been around there. The pyramids, I think there's way more, and they've proven there's more under the pyramids.
Which makes it even harder to build the pyramids if there was a fucking lush green rainforest. Now
Right.
you're not pulling stones across sand. You're doing it around trees and through rivers and creeks and mud because it's a rainforest now.
So we're only seeing the tip. So they were trying to explain how they, and again, okay, say the 24 years to form the top of the pyramids.
Yeah, the 200.
There's a
fucking-
mile of that below there, and sand just isn't going to just be there one day. It's over time. It's eventually going to blow in.
You mean the
over-
top of the pyramid with the 2 million stones?
Right. We're talking
that
about
they built
the
in
mile
24 years.
underneath that
Yeah.
of
And
pipes
circular
and
pillars.
staircases.
How'd they do
and-
that?
And they say that there's one in Antarctica, like a pyramid in Antarctica,
Oh, yeah.
which has been frozen the entire time we've been
Alive.
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just see it on, like, Google Maps.
Yeah.
Satellite images show a pyramid that's covered, right?
Yeah, so that would mean there was a, well, I would say that it would mean that there was a civilization advanced before something bad happened.
Dude, let me give you some pushback on that. How come it's so high on the ice and everything else is 50 to 100 miles of ice, but the pyramid shows up on a map up above the
That's
ice?
just the tip of that pyramid.
It could be. That's it. I mean,
It
that's why
might
I'm
be
giving the pushback.
It
I want
might
to
be our
know.
biggest pyramid.
Could be.
It's like 300 feet at the base from what they can see, from what they've measured on the map. So it might be 900 feet one direction across,
Could be.
potentially.
I mean, that's a
This
theory.
monumental pyramid that's bigger hieroglyphs, you know what I'm saying, than any we've ever seen in a place that's complete ice. But underneath that, what's underneath the ice?
Yeah.
Giant lush.
So ice, when it freezes, expands. Ice in the water, like icebergs, if you had a full cup right now and I threw ice in there, it's going to overflow.
Could.
And
So what are the chances of all the ice melting? Do you think it would still cover majority of Earth?
I
It would
don't
probably
know.
run into the ocean, John. We'd be fine.
Well, and there's
Just fill up the ocean.
there's parts of this planet that is in severe drought. So maybe if it does melt, it'll just go into the places that need the water.
Plus, we have to think that as water melts, it evaporates, goes into our atmosphere. Wind patterns, weather patterns push this evaporated water to another part of the country, drops it out when it gets the weather conditions are right. So maybe it's, as it's melting, it's also doing its regular and then working into the weather pattern. It'd be years, it'd be hundreds of years to see the effects.
What do you think of the chances planet Earth was completely covered in water at one time?
It's flat, it would run off the edges, John.
The ice wall's
The
gonna
ice
keep it
wall is
up.
the only thing right now keeping the water from going
Right,
on the
I
side.
get it. I get
Well,
it.
and the ice wall is keeping us from more advanced technology.
Oh,
All the
that's what
smart
people
guys
say.
are over there. That's an
Yeah.
interesting theory too.
Yeah, go ahead, expand on it, Nate, because it just, why not?
Yeah, why not, man?
Why not? Well, why couldn't there be another advanced civilization that's just,
Earth is way bigger than what we actually think. it
have you
is.
ever been to outer space and then looked back at Earth?
Absolutely not.
None of us have, and
No.
very
I just
few
gotta take the
people in
pictures NASA
world
sends, and
have.
I gotta believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, if we want to say that Kennedy was killed by the government, it was a big hush-hush conspiracy cover-up back in the 60s, which wasn't that long ago. They can cover that up completely. Nobody knows. Everybody's got these theories, but everybody's just like still scratching their head, waiting on Trump to release the Kennedy files. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna find out who killed Kennedy. We still don't know.
I
You
think
think they're
it-
gonna let us in on the fucking? There's another on the ice wall.
Did those not get released?
No, they did, but they were so, I think, heavily redacted that you couldn't tell, and everybody's dead. Who gives a fuck who killed Kennedy now? They're all dead.
Right.
It's not, like, there's no glamour anymore in finding out.
I was
Like,
watching-
the Epstein list, that's the next one. That's gonna be talked about for 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, but who was behind fucking, it wasn't this dude, it wasn't just Epstein.
Wasn't
It
Trump?
wasn't
and
one guy that was a super genius. There's somebody behind Epstein. What's his interest in holding power over all these people? What's Epstein getting out of it? Because it didn't seem like he was rich, but he wasn't the richest. He wasn't.
No, he just knew good people. It seemed like with money.
Well, not only that, but he was
Well,
also very.
I told that
interested
loosely
in-
when I say good people with money. He just knew people with money. I guess I should have said it like that.
But I'm saying, what
Because
was his
There are a lot of
motive?
stand-up citizens with money.
Yeah.
What was his motive to have this secret sex island where they were having underage girls? Like, was it just this one guy that's like, man, I like, porking underage girls, and I want to keep doing it, so I'm gonna get the highest and most influential people to come to my island and make them do fucked up shit and record it and hold something over them. That was one guy that just thought this and never decided
How much of
to
that-
make a power move before he got.
How much of that, though, do you think that they're just super rich, so they start getting a sense that they're above the law?
They are, or they own the
Probably
law.
majority of
So-
them do.
They're like, I
Probably.
know this is wrong, and that's their whole reason for doing it is the normal
Power.
person can't do this, but I can.
That's power.
I've got the
right?
bank account that says I can have a 14-year-old person and
Well, we got a whole
Nobody-
trial
you know
going
what
on
I
right
mean?
now over
and
this.
no one else can. Everyone else, they'll lock them up and throw away the key, but not me.
The
I can
Sean
do it.
Combs thing, that's a prime example of what's
Yes.
going on right now.
Is he gonna get out?
And
Like
so-
I was watching a clip yesterday. They said they may not have enough evidence to
Ah, jeez.
keep him. He's
Really?
gonna get. I don't know if he did anything. As far as I know,
Well, if they
innocent.
did that much stuff going into it, there's probably some. But then again, how much are we getting wrapped up in the social media?
Plus,
Right.
so many
Bullshit
people
on-
are recording this stuff, or so many people are making accounts, and then that's their whole account is like I've watched the trial today, and they just put their spin on it. I don't even know if Diddy's a real person. I've never seen him.
Right? Could be,
Yeah, fucking could be AI for all I know.
Could
I
be.
mean, I don't know.
You don't know.
Well, this is the thing. Like, people get so.
Involved.
Oh man, they're personally involved.
Yeah,
Hey,
and how?
Diddy's innocent. Like, who
How do you
gives a
know?
fuck?
Do you know him?
Right.
You don't know him. Like saying Joe Biden was a piece of shit. Like, okay, you can say that, and you can show clips of him being kind of a idiot or senile or whatever. But
Right.
I've never sat down and talked to Joe Biden. I have no fucking clue. Why am I personally putting it upon myself to say that another person that I've never met, Donald Trump, is better than Biden in any way? I don't know any. Like,
Never met them. Yeah.
anybody in town that you guys like,
Trump
John's
even
like,
real?
hey, my buddy Dan's coming to town, Gary. I think you'd really like him. And I'm like, okay. And John tells me a little bit about him. And now all of a sudden I'm like, Dan is the coolest motherfucker. And I'm arguing with people that I don't know.
Oh no, I know
Oh,
Dan.
how
Never
cool
met the guy.
Dan is. And no, I'm defending Dan. Dan is the man.
Yep.
Like,
Oh,
you
because
never
you were-
even met
because
him. Why are you
you-
so emotionally attached to a personality that you've never even, like, I'm not gonna, until I met Ryan, I didn't know him.
Right.
And then I met him, and it took me quite a long time to make a definitive decision whether I thought Ryan was a likable guy or not. I had to see. Same with Nate, and same with you. Like, there was a process that I had to go through, and I, like, okay, well, John, that's kind of some fucked up shit that he said. Or like, oh, that makes sense what he said, and I like his ideas. I'm gonna listen more. Or, he's an idiot. He always is talking smack.
Right.
Even then, when you know somebody for a long time, you don't know them, and to call them a pedophile, and to call them a scammer, any fill in the blank on the name that you want to use to give these guys that are high influence, you don't know them.
Right.
And you've got a personal attachment to them.
And number one, the media is on him way more than it is on somebody like me.
And the media is also probably just giving a spin that will make their ratings go higher.
Yep, you're
whether
absolutely
good or
right.
bad.
Mhm.
They don't give a shit.
And even the media doesn't know them personally.
No.
Like they don't know what they're like, how they go to sleep, whether or not they sleep well or not, and what they dream about, what actually makes them tick.
Is Elon and Trump friends again? I heard.
My understanding, yeah.
I heard there was like a fight, and he said the reason he didn't release the Epstein files because Trump was on that list, and it was on. I guess it used to be called Twitter. I'm not for sure what it's called now.
X now.
And then all of a sudden now they're buddies again. Was this like again? We hear all this shit. Was that just like a scam itself? Just to
Yeah.
get ratings higher, to get people like, oh yeah, this right here is how it's going, and
From what I read, they decided to come back together for the good of the nation or something like that.
again, don't know either one of them.
I have to
Right.
take it at face value too. Like, if I hear Joe Biden say something, and like I've done this, I'm sitting in the work truck with a guy, and I'm listening, and a news anchor comes on, and he's like, Joe Biden in a speech today addressing the nation says he's going to be, helping Russia instead of Ukraine. And I'm like, oh shit, Biden's gonna help. And the guy sitting next to me, that's fucking bullshit. That fucking senile old cocksucker ain't gonna do nothing to help the country. And I'm like, damn.
Well, just kind of like
Maybe
this.
he's not, but maybe he is. And I'm listening to him. He said he was going to do it. That's the way I always say, like, you say you're going to do something, at least I'm going to, well, you said it.
Yeah.
I need to wait and see what's going on. I can't, like, you're a fucking liar. Well, if you have a history of, be like, if somebody wanted to borrow money from me that never has paid me back before, I'm like, you never have paid me back yet. I have some sort of history with that person, understanding. So I'm not giving you the money because you've never returned the money after 5 times I've lent it to you.
Right.
I don't think you're going to give the money back. Oh, I promise I will this time. But a person I've never met before, that's never lied to me personally, that's been accused of lying, and then how do you even know if they were really lying? Trump's a felon.
Right.
Did he really do felonies, or did they pigeonhole him into a corner? I don't even care.
Zero.
But
fucks given here.
but the thing is, like, was it legal means? Is it? That's the hard part. We're trying to navigate our lives, and we're getting.
It's all about money.
It's always been that way, though, right? There's a king setting up in a castle, and he tells his jester, "Write this down."
Liver King.
Liver King.
Like even with Joe Rogan. I mean, how much money do you think these guys have made off of this little spat they've had? Joe's had to make some money off of it. Liver King had to make some money off of this shit already. His views are going up.
Oh yeah, for
Views
sure. Yeah,
going up
good
and yeah.
publicity's bad publicity's publicity.
Yep.
Yes. So, is he really going senile? Is he not? Is this a whole thing he done to just amp everything back up again because he was kind of failing a little bit?
He might have called Rogan up and been like, Rogan, dude, like, I'm gonna
Talk
since your
some
show,
shit.
I've been
I'm almost
fucked.
tense up.
He's like, I got an idea. And Rogan's like, yeah, fucking dude, I'm not getting involved in it, but if you want to talk some shit on me, he's like, all right, dude, I'm going to, but just chill. You know, I'm not really meaning this.
I'm not gonna come
Help
down
me
there and
out.
kill you.
And Rogan's like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. It sounds like a good idea. It sounds like it's not gonna hurt me. My ratings are fucking. Everybody loves me. You talk a little shit on me, it's probably only gonna help me, and it might help you. And he might have given him the thumbs up and like, because I don't think
Go
Joe
for it.
Rogan's the type of personality that cares. Somebody tells him about it, and he's like, "Oh no, shit, Liver King's talking about me. I like that guy.
Well,
That's
you heard
weird."
he got arrested though and was under house arrest
The
allegedly.
Liver King?
Yeah.
No, because we
Oh,
started
okay.
to talk about it, but then we got
All
off.
right,
Tell the story
so
that you know.
I wake up that morning. I hear there's a spat between Liver King and Joe Rogan.
Damn, you don't like the Liver King that much, Nate? You getting up and leaving just because he's being talked about?
Liver King sucks. I don't
God
know
damn, I
who
hope
Liver
that-
King is.
I hope the camera didn't pick that up.
Yeah, he's coming.
Dude, he's sneaking out to eat some liver.
Yeah, he is. He's gonna go
I'm gonna go
sun his
eat some
butthole
liver.
real quick. Sun's up. I'm gonna go point my butthole at it for the next 30 minutes.
It's time.
Primal body.
The bleaching hour.
Anyway, go ahead. Tell. what
So,
happened.
anyways, again, this is all media. They're trying to blow this shit up. There's a lot of videos. Apparently, he was driving. He had a gun. Had a briefcase full of money. I didn't see this video, but I got told that.
The Liver King had money.
Yeah,
and
it was
guns?
on his way to Joe Rogan's house.
With money.
I guess.
Was he gonna try to pay him first?
I don't know.
It's like if the bribe don't work, I'm killing.
I
this
don't
guy.
know. Like when I heard the actual thing, I was like, "This don't sound too bad." But I guess there's a series of videos, like almost like he'd been up for days traveling to Joe Rogan.
I've seen a couple of the clips. The one he was
too.
Yeah, where
climbing.
he's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
I
a spider
seen-
monkey.
I've been there before. I know what that's a sign of.
So yeah. So he got arrested. Like he said, the Fed showed up at like 9 o'clock on his doorstep, arrested him, and it was like 6 hours later. He was like, "Well, they showed up at my house," and he had another video out, the Liver King, and he was showing off his ankle bracelet. He's under house arrest.
Yeah.
His curfew's 9 in the evening to 6 in the morning. He's got to be at home, and then he's kind of a free guy. But then, of course, this is a good time for me to spend time with my family, this here and that kind of thing, whatever. But yeah, that was kind of what I seen. But then again, like, is it a big publicity stunt? Like, you don't really fucking know. We're just a bunch of suckers watching YouTube videos and
And you know what's crazy? That
Following
might
it.
like it may work. It probably will work. Like, say you weren't during the pandemic when the Liver King was fucking popular because people were sitting at home, they were watching videos, and this guy would come across their TikTok or
he came across mine numerous times.
so he comes across. He's this jack dude that looks to be getting older, but just I mean, incredible build on this guy. Like he's jacked, fully jacked and tan
The first video I seen is him walking through Las Vegas, Nevada.
with no shirt on.
No shirt on. That was the first one that popped up on my thing one time.
So now he's kind of irrelevant, right? He went on, his whole spiel was he was all natural, just eating animals and getting sunlight and a few other things. And that's Primal was his thing. He had a supplement brand. And that's what got him popular, just being viewed. But now, because Rogan kind of dismissed him and was like, no, the guy's a fake. Nobody gets that jacked. And it turned out to be true. A couple weeks later, they released his steroid cycle. And it was outrageous.
Yes, it was
Like the amount of juice he was on, I was like, why does he need to be on that much
well,
stuff?
the
Like,
amount
to
of
be
juice,
that
but the
jacked?
amount of money that it cost to be on that juice
Well, I think
was
that's
ridiculous.
Dude, there's no way. I saw that list. I was like, where's he getting his shit from? Like, is he having did he buy a lab and then have them make this? And he's got a scientist in beakers. Like, that's not how much.
Breaking
I'll
Bad
tell
style.
you guys, like, I've taken steroids.
No, you haven't.
That's not how much they cost. That's ridiculous. I mean, even if you're getting them from a pharmacy, which he wasn't, I'm sure, they're not that list was outrageous. But regardless, it doesn't matter. If he had fallen off, which he did after the Rogan podcast, and then that stuff came out, this could very well be an attempt to make himself relevant again. Get you, people are. I guarantee you, people are going to his site to see if those videos are on there.
Oh,
Let me
good.
grab my
There's-
phone. I'm gonna see
There's
what this
views,
documentary is
right?
about.
Like you get more views, you get more.
Yep.
You go viral.
Because he
And one of those
disappeared
videos of him
for
climbing around on the ground.
he
threatening
disappeared
Joe
for a
Rogan.
while and then just popped up. And I ain't wondering if all this is. Will you hand me my glasses there, please? I want to know what this documentary is and what
If
year
you
it
get
came out.
rich, or if you want to get some publicity, if you can get people to listen to you talk crap on Joe Rogan, and it gets back to Joe Rogan and he talks about it on his podcast.
You're going somewhere.
Yeah, I mean your views are going up. People are going to your site. If your name gets mentioned on Joe Rogan, there's 20,000 people out there Googling your name right at the same time.
Right.
Joe Rogan's like, I read this book the other day by Garrett Nichols, and the next thing you know, my book's flying off the fucking shelves.
Yep.
The guy's got hundreds of millions of viewers and fans of this guy, which I'm a fan of Joe Rogan too. I love his podcast. Don't like his comedy. Joe, if you're listening, sorry, bud, but your comedic stand-up act, there's other guys that I'd go see before you.
Yeah, he's not very funny.
I wasn't going to say that. He just, for the amount of
He's like,
comedians.
whoa, whoa,
This guy
whoa.
The amount of comedians.
Joe,
that
this is for you.
the amount of comedians that are out there, like, he's not even on the top 10 of who I would go see as a comedian.
I think you should fight him.
I wouldn't fight him either.
I don't think any of us would.
I would fight him. Like,
Garrett's calling you out, Joe Rogan.
If Garrett's like, if there's a battle of the
No,
podcast,
spider monkey crawl around the.
like if Joe Rogan sees our podcast and is like, fuck this guy, his podcast sucks, and so do the other guys, I'm gonna go to bat for you guys. I'm like, I might suck, but these guys don't, and I'm gonna fucking kick your ass, Joe.
And then our podcast will be amazing
It'll be
because he
through the
mentioned
roof.
how fucking horrible our podcast is.
Bingo. So if you're listening, Joe, just give us a shout out. It's called the Bipolar Sunrise. Just tell people how much you like us. You're doing it for the Liver King. Why can't we get some? We'll sun our buttholes if that's what you want us to do.
Yeah, where the sun doesn't shine.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
well-
Garrett, I'd fight for you too.
Hear that, motherfucker? Rogan, you're going to have to fight me and Nate.
I've seen what Nate can do. I'm kind of scared.
Hope you don't like your ankles because they're going to be gone.
That's all I can reach.
I'd be out of breath just crawling in the ring. Fuck.
Like, hold on, how long are these rounds?
I'd have to dance
mean, I'm not gonna
down.
win.
I'd dance down to the octagon and be like, fuck him.
Well, hold on, we need a break. I just danced my way down to the octagon.
Taking your asthma
Fucking
inhaler.
over it.
Yeah.
Just getting down there, all those stairs. All right, guys. The Liver King documentary was released April 22nd, 2025.
So this is just.
It's on Netflix. It's called Untold.
But who gives a fuck whether he did steroids or not? That's what I
That's
want to
me.
know.
Well,
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. He's kind of spiking now. So he had to get the momentum going.
Because his special just came out,
Right.
or his documentary.
And
He's
now
got
the whole Joe Rogan thing, it makes
Now
sense to
people are
kind
going
of
to
keep
go
the
to
ball rolling.
Netflix
Yeah.
and watch his documentary.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I don't give a fuck whether he took every steroid in the book. He scammed a bunch of people. I didn't fall for it. And if you did, that's your fucking problem.
Anyways, you get.
Hail the Liver King.
Fuck you, Joe.
Fuck Rogan. You know? Does the Liver King have a podcast? I would assume.
I don't know.
He should, because of the selling his product and stuff. He could get on there and
I'm sure he did have one.
eat some liver and
But
go
does he
bust out a
now?
set of 315 for reps on bench, you know? Like, see what this liver just did for me? I'm primal. I don't know. It's kind of a cool. I think let's put it. Let's give this, or I will give the Liver King a little bit of props here, because what he was doing, I think at the end of the day, was a good message as far as it goes. Like, if you're eating healthy food, this is what he was saying, right? Like, the whole scam it was, well, he was on steroids, but he also was jacked. He didn't also just get a fucking ripped six-pack and fucking shredded chest muscles by
Doing steroids.
just doing steroids and then, you know, walking around with his shirt off. The guy put in some very hard work, and I'm sure his diet was pretty dialed in.
His name's Brian Johnson.
That's his real name?
Yeah.
Does he have a
He
podcast?
does not have a podcast. The only thing that pops up when I typed in Liver King podcast, apparently he did a lot of videos of just him doing stuff, which he really qualified as a bless your little heart, Nate.
Thanks, bless you too.
You all right?
Yeah, I just sneezed.
I know you got something in your stash. Probably boogies.
Yeah.
Just a guess.
Just
Wild shot in the dark guess here, but
yeah.
probably good.
Ugh.
So yeah, it looks like he did a bunch of videos. Joe Perlman directed Untold.
How long is the documentary?
You
Does
know,
it give that?
sure.
I bet it's not that long. Fuck,
You know,
his
it
career
wasn't.
wasn't that long.
Like I watched it. Me and April did. It was interesting because I'm just a documentary guy anyway. But yeah, I mean, I found it interesting. And of course, I didn't even know what it was when I typed on it or clicked on it. And then of course I'm like, oh, this is the guy that I seen walking around shirtless in Las Vegas that was just huge. And I was like, okay, this was interesting. So I went ahead and watched it. I'm pretty sure it's just a documentary. It's not like a 3-part series or anything like that. I'm guessing it's probably 56 minutes.
But he just
hour-ish.
documented his journey through becoming
The Liver King.
the Liver King and then kind of dwindling off.
That's kind of what I did, I guess.
Man, I just it's hard for me to criticize the Liver King when there's so many companies out there, like we just talked about earlier, these drug companies. They're listing off the side effects that are worse than the effects of the disease that you're currently having. And you just start taking this pill and it sounds like, holy cow, it's going to be way worse.
It's a holy grail.
Like there's so many people out there, like let's just say Instagram models that they're selling their body on OnlyFans, but they're hot Instagram model. Like they're only showing you the highlights of their life. They're not showing you the bad days, and you know they're not showing you when they had surgery on their boobs. They had no surgery. They're just saying you can be a strong, independent woman too. And they're selling a product. It's a lotion with their name on it or a makeup. There's lots of them doing it out here. That's fake. What they're doing is fake. They got lip fillers. They've got plastic surgery. They
Well,
have
not
this
to
in their-
mention everything. You can just put a filter on it. They may not even have. You don't even have to
May
have
not.
the surgery. You
But,
can just go
I
to
mean-
a Snapchat filter and look any way you want and customize shit.
But there's not people out there just ripping these models apart and showing every scam that they've done and showing how fake
Right.
they are. Liver King just kind of got too popular, and he just kind of, like, if he would have just said, I do take some testosterone, I do take this from time to time, because if you want to achieve this type of build at my age, you're not going to be able to do it just through liver.
How old is this guy?
God, I bet he's my age.
I'm about to find out.
I bet he's 45 to 50. I'd probably find out he's only 22. Or something. He just looks old from all the steroids he's taking. God damn. But I bet between 45 and 50. Maybe he's 52. He's a young guy.
67.
God damn, I was way the fuck off. Those steroids helped
No,
him.
I was 47.
Oh, God, he is my age. He's exactly my age.
Like, he looked really good for his age.
And I'm like, man, what's he taking again? I'm going to get that steroid list back out.
He found the fountain of fucking youth.
Jesus Christ, and people are... Yeah, so, you know, he's close to 50. You pushing 50 like that to be built.
Yeah, he's our age.
You can be built. Like I'm saying, you could have a six-pack and look good, but to carry that type of mass, like 230 pounds of ripped.
How tall is the guy? He looked huge when he was walking through Vegas. Like, he looked like he's 7 foot tall.
I don't know
No,
how...
I doubt if he really is 7 foot tall, but I mean, he looked like a big
I
boy.
don't know if that he is. I mean, maybe 6 foot, 6'5". It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because
You're that
usually the
jacked.
big guys that you see on TV, they're big, and then you see them in person, they're short.
5'7"?
Well, like
No,
that's
Tony
Tony Swoles or whatever.
Tony Swoles, yeah, the guy that does the reaction videos.
Yeah.
When the
He's
girls
like
make fun of people in
fucking
the gym.
5'5" or something.
Oh, he's really short?
Yeah.
I always think of him as a big
That's
fucking
me.
tall
I
dude.
thought he was like 6'2". No, he's like 5'5", 5'6".
Man, that's what those guys that are jacked.
Just tiny, just ripped. But yeah, they
he's
showed him
5'7".
doing pictures with
5'7",
fans.
huh?
He's super
Way
tall.
off from 7 foot.
Yeah.
Super
There was a
tall.
7 in it.
Super tall.
Well, I guess, yeah, 5'7". Maybe the 7. Maybe they had it backwards.
I thought it was 7'5".
Might
Nah,
have been
whatever.
7'5".
I think he's a giant.
The Liver King. Well, I mean, best of luck to you, Liver King. I hope that you can sort this out, and I hope that it was just a ploy for you to sell your documentary, and that you're actually doing okay. Because I think his message is good, you know, like eating primal. The message was good, what he was given. He just lied about the delivery.
And he really is a family guy, it seems to be. He really
I'm sure
does
he
like his
is.
family. He talked about it a lot. And
Yeah, I'm sure he's a fine guy. He just got caught up in this thing that he started making money real quick.
yeah.
He probably wasn't that well known. He got a viral video, and next
Would
thing
either
you know,
all of us would have done the same thing.
oh
probably
yeah,
in
I
his
tell people I wasn't
situation.
on steroids. Like, yeah, I'm not on
Yeah.
steroids right this second. I'm just really good at doing podcasts. It's not because of the steroids, you know. Yeah, I mean, I could get caught up in the same thing. Like, you start making money off your videos, and then people are coming to you and saying, "Hey, man, do you make supplements?" And you're like, "Well, I never thought about making supplements." And then you start looking, see how easy it is. Like, oh shit, I don't have to go through the FDA. I just have to put dietary supplement on this and like put it on the shelves.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, man, you're good to go. Like, we don't even need to come inspect your garage." You just,
Unless it starts hurting people.
unless it starts hurting people. So he's just grinding up dried liver out in his shop, putting the labels on it that he got made on Amazon, and heat shrinking them, selling them like as he's putting them in boxes as he's making this shit. I'm sure that's how it went down. He got huge. I mean, Liver King for a while, that's all you were hearing about is this guy that was on this primal diet. And it, you know, for a layman that's never had to lift weights or anything before, they just see this guy and it's like, dang, that makes sense. Neanderthals were huge and they just ate bones and shit. Like, yeah, maybe we start eating
Yeah, Neanderthal. What's
Nate
up, bud?
Neanderthal.
So huge. Huge.
Check out those
Well,
arms.
in the head.
Yeah.
Got a look at the head on that boy. Head. You guys remember So I Married an Axe Murderer?
No.
Oh God, one of the best. Classic. Can't believe you don't remember it.
Is it a documentary?
Well, they made a documentary out of it.
I remember the documentary.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched it though, but I know what you're talking about.
I can't believe you don't know. I know. We've watched it together. I'm sure of it.
Probably have. I've watched a lot of documentaries. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I mean,
I'm talking about the movie.
they turned it into a movie.
They turned the movie into a documentary. It doesn't matter. It was Mike Myers, not the killer, but the spy who shagged me. Was that Mike Myers? That was Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, baby. Have you never seen So
Oh,
I Married an Axe
yeah.
Murderer? Or that really
I haven't
hot
seen it
blonde?
for a long time.
Yeah.
If it's a movie, then I have seen it.
Yeah, you've seen it. It was Michael Myers and that one chick that's,
Hot.
but she's an axe murderer. I mean, and she was hot. Of course, like the crazy ones are always hot. Very, very, very often do you see a nasty looking crazy bitch. Like they're usually hot to go along with their crazy.
It's not like a 300-pound
Psycho axe murderer.
psycho axe
Hey,
murderer.
you know how hard it is to wield an axe when you've got a 50-pound fucking fat roll hanging off the bottom of your arm? Not easy. You gotta be in shape for that shit.
Yeah, you gotta be a little gal.
So anyway, back to, we got completely off track.
Again?
The Social Leap was William von Hippel is the book that would counter the documentary that you sent me on the stoned ape theory. But why not a combination of those two? Why not
Yeah.
both those things in different parts of the world? In this part of the world, say the people that developed into like the Asian, they took mushrooms. But in North America, they found food and their brains expanded. Because I imagine if there was a gene that was active, a gene that just, it's active within the human body every 75,000 years.
Like the
It comes
cicadas
on.
come out every once in a blue moon.
Every 7 years is the cycle of a cicada. But regardless,
There's other cicadas. It's not always the 7-year cicada.
But that would be easy
don't
to.
argue with me about this. I did a deep dive, motherfucker. I'm ready to go to battle over this.
Whatever.
But that would be easy to. Well, it would be a long process, but it would be easy to prove. Like, we could take 3 different. Well, 4 different because you have to have a control group, and take apes or orangutans or whatever, and give one mushrooms, and then give one cooked food, and see which one develops faster.
Yeah, I don't
How
have that
long
much
would it take?
time.
Well,
To expand the
Volunteer to be the
brain.
mushroom ape.
And did it have to be?
Aren't mushrooms food?
well, but if
And do we have to
but
be a
if
primate group, or can it be just humans? Like, I'll
It-
do
it-
the mushroom one.
Right.
it literally could be any because if that's what awakened the gene, it would have to take as long as that gene needed to.
So this test is gonna last 75,000 years?
Yes.
Oh my
Well, we
God.
need to find something that evolutionary chain moves quicker. Like
Well-
you can really change the looks of a dog within like 3 generations
Yeah.
and stuff.
So you'd have to take something that had a short lifespan,
right.
because I think that's also something that evolution doesn't take in consideration,
Well, they've done this with rats, I believe.
because you can have multiple generations of some life forms within years,
Right.
but if years lifespan, I think it should have been lifespans instead of years, because the mayflies live for maybe a day,
24 hours.
but their life cycle is faster than ours. So if evolution is a thing, then the mayflies, things that have faster regeneration, that it would mean that they would be more advanced, because it takes us 30 years to.
Did you watch that documentary, by the way?
I watched some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But so just give mushrooms to a
So-
less advanced population with a faster life.
Okay.
Life.
I don't think. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. The documentary on there is like how it's really changed our life, the psilocybin mushrooms, this here and that, and who we are today. But it's like if Garrett's over here working out 24/7, eating liver, shining his butt to the fucking sun,
Hell yeah.
his son's not gonna pop out like that. It's a trait he's got to teach his young, and then so on. So it kind of, the way it made it sound is like you can't. So if you're, I guess it's a tool. So it wasn't like because I eat mushrooms, you ate mushrooms, you did psilocybin, we're still eating mushrooms 10 generations down the road. It didn't seem like it have any effect on that situation. However, it seemed like the generations that go on, like, hey, this is what we need to keep an eye out for, and then they're eating mushrooms. Does that make any sense? I don't know exactly, like a tool, like other one sees the other one doing it, and of course,
Well, it makes
Yeah.
sense if you're eating mushrooms and you're just a monkey, and now all of a sudden you've ate mushrooms and you have all these good ideas, and all the chick monkeys sees you walking around with a fucking stick all the time. You all of a sudden got the stick that you've sharpened, and the female monkeys are like, "Damn, we want that monkey." All the other male monkeys see you getting the females,
So they start walking around with a sharpened stick.
and they're like, "Why'd he get that?" And they think enough, like he got the idea of that stick because he keeps eating those fucking weird looking cow patty mushrooms.
yep.
And they start eating them. Then they get wild ideas, and now they get the idea of the wheel, and they're rolling a wheel around, and the fucking chick monkeys are just wetting their fucking fur. Like, oh my god, he's got a wheel.
Yeah.
Or like, what's it called? He's like, I haven't decided yet, bitch. Get with me on Tuesday. I'll give you after I take a couple more of these mushrooms. So like, will that be like Freud? What was the guy? The Sigmund
Sigmund
Freud.
Freud,
Like
yeah.
their idea was everything had to do with sex and oral fixation, but it does, right? Like we drive around fast cars
Oh yeah.
for bitches. Like, yeah, I like a fast car, but I'm not just gonna drive it around. Like we lift weights to get the bitches. Like we do things to make the girls think that we're a good provider and protector.
I take showers.
We got money for a car. We take care of
So?
ourselves. He can take care of himself really good. He's got that nice car, that house. He can probably take care of me real good. And so it's
Did.
about sex, right? Like what maybe part of the brain expansion is as these lower primates are trying to get more pussy, they in fact evolve through procreation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No,
what
that
I'm
totally
saying?
does.
That's where we are today.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Still, yeah, without even knowing it. You don't know why about 14 or 15 you all of a sudden start getting into stuff that
Why'd you
you've
buy
never
that
been into.
fancy outfit and those fancy shoes you wanted? You're going into a bar thinking the chick's gonna be like, yeah, that guy's got nice shoes.
Smell good. Like, oh shit. Oh, she's getting close. I'm going to wash up so she doesn't smell me because I want to be on my best.
Yeah. Well, if somebody gets a big head and large eyes and can actually read your mind and know exactly what you need, even though they have scrawny arms, eventually maybe we'll become grays.
Could be.
I
Man.
have
That's
a
good
thought on the Greys and just aliens. So we travel outer space. We have uniforms on. We're not just going to space like we are right now. I'm not just hopping into a craft and going to Mars and jumping out and butt naked. So I always kind of wonder, like, what if they're in their uniforms, like when they come here? You wouldn't come here,
But it's a biological suit.
maybe way more advanced than we could think.
Mm-hmm. It actually bonds to you.
Possibly.
Gives you the
Because
ability
you
to
don't
breathe
see
oxygen.
sex organs. You never hear anybody like, oh, that gray popped up naked. He had a big old dick.
I never have heard that, no.
No.
Well, we also have a Van Halen belt around us, which is a radioactive.
Radiation belt?
Yeah, around our planet. So we need that protection when we go out. So they might need that protection coming in.
Right. So they might just be in spacesuits.
Or
that are
maybe
just
the
way more
radiation
advanced.
already took their dick and tits. So they went through the Van Allen radiation belt enough times that they stopped growing dicks and vaginas. They had to start mentally getting each other pregnant, or they become hermaphrodites,
Well,
where they're able to
Stargate.
get each other pregnant,
Yeah.
or their selves pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Stargate says that the Greys kept on. They stopped the whole sex thing, and they just kept on cloning each other, and then they just kept their
See, that
brains.
one makes sense too.
The subconscious lives for like millions of years, but they just kept on reproducing a body through cloning.
Although,
and
if
then
we're,
sticking the consciousness into that body.
Yeah,
so if we're sending something out into space, like, again, it's one of those things like you can send people to Mars or whatever the case may be, but that's not going to be your first way to do it. If you have a way to send something out there like drones, they could be just something as simple as drones.
yeah, like an advanced.
But they're just an
form of-
advanced drone that walks around in a weird suit.
Could be just a robot.
Could
like
be.
their form of robot,
Yeah.
biological robot.
Or android, half
Yeah.
human, half.
Well, their advance might be so much that it might be. I mean, who knows?
Maybe they didn't advance with artificial
We're building
intelligence, or
robots to
advance
look like
with our
humans.
biological makeup.
Yeah. Well, Ray Kurzweil said that we are at a point in our history where we have to decide whether we're going to go biological or technological. Like we can preserve our race through cloning and all that stuff, or we can preserve our race through technology.
Does our race really should be like protected? You say?
Well, it's just going to be like we're going to try to protect it ourselves no
Yeah,
matter
but I
what.
mean, the human race, I feel, is probably a little outdated.
Compared to what?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, compared to what we think is more advanced, I guess.
We don't know if there's even anything. I mean, we
Yeah.
have speculations, but we've never.
Right.
There's no concrete evidence of any type of other life form aside from what's on Earth.
Yeah, and-
We're all prisoners. We're all just sitting here working to feed our family, kids, repeat.
yeah.
Are we a slave colony?
We
That-
possibly could be.
I mean, that is another theory,
That
right?
is a
Yeah.
theory.
Zachariah Sitchin's with the emerald tablets. His whole theory about
Legend, we're like number 7.
and or the is it the Georgia Stones?
And then there's like our DNA's actually been altered.
the telomeres have been shortened, so we don't live nearly as long.
Don't know.
Dynastic Egyptians would live, their kings and pharaohs would live hundreds of years. Noah in the Bible, Enoch, all the original before God decided after the Tower of Babel that he was going to cut timelines down. But this is just a story. Forget
Right.
about whether you believe in God or aliens or anything. All the stories of the Great Flood, all the stories of basically the telomeres getting shortened, they all have their own. There's a history there of this happening. God said in the Christian Bible, He said, "No longer am I going to allow people to live for this amount of time. They cause too much trouble. They become gods themselves." It was
but that was okay. So I know what you're talking about, and he said that he was going to shorten the life to 107 years, and then or something like that, 120 years. But then 120 years after he said that, in the Bible, he did the flood, which killed everybody.
everybody that was going to live except for Noah, who was like 700 at the time.
Yeah, but and even after the flood, Abraham lived longer than that. So he was specifically talking about limiting human life to 120 years because that's how long it took to build the boat and then flood the earth. It had nothing to do with how long he was going to limit human life.
Right.
We're getting to the point where we're probably going to live longer than that, just because of technology and stuff like that.
But it's those who have the money to do it.
Yeah,
But my
more
point
people are
isn't
gonna
that
die
my
off.
point isn't whether there's an actual God pulling the strings of things. My point is you can look back through different types of literature, theologian or non-theological literature that points to the same things. Our telomeres getting shortened at some point in time as a mass.
well, and there's
Not just,
there's technology that's actually focusing on
lengthening
making that longer.
telomeres. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is, we may have been engineered in one manner or not, whether it was through a supernatural being, Jesus Christ, or through it being through Sumerians and ancient aliens that came down and used us as slaves to harvest gold so that they could blow it into their atmosphere because the sun was starting to destroy their planet. That was like
That's a theory.
Nibiru.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But historically, you can look through several documents that would point to this type of thing happening. That humans lived longer, maybe we were bigger, there was giants, whatever, and then something at some point in time. So whatever story you want to follow, it was either God that did it, or it was the Sumerian kings. Fill in the blank on who did it. Somewhere, at some point in time, as a culture, as the human race, their time got shorter. They stopped living.
Well, did the
years.
time get shorter?
Same with the floods. I mean, they're just all stories that are documented through every type of religion, through every type of historical documentation. There was a fucking flood. At some point in time in our world, there was a great
Definitely
flood.
so.
Now, who caused the flood? Why the flood happened? Don't know. But
But-
there was a flood, probably multiple.
We're
floods.
time stamping like a day now could be totally different than a day a lot of years ago.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they could have.
So, like, of course, you could be like, okay, you live to be 80, but there's 12-hour days. Like, was the rotation different? The sun's rotation around Earth different? That would have been a day, night to day. So, yeah, the time was 12 hours a full day. I'd be, say you lived 80 years old
You'd be half of
today,
whatever
you'd
you
be
are.
like 160 back then. So there's that to kind of throw in there.
Could be. Yeah, maybe they're like, a day. Maybe their sun only cycled at maybe it was fucking zinging. Maybe the
Could've
Earth
been.
was spinning even faster, so it,
Yeah. And maybe cataclysmic
Activity caused
Slowed it
something,
down.
slowed us down.
Yeah, or
and
getting further
we're-
from the sun, or
We're living the exact
We're getting closer
same
to
amount
the
of
sun.
time, but a year was different.
yes. So it'd be like, oh, I'm 180 years old back then, but now today, average lifespan's 80 years old. But then you're like, well, an average day back then.
what if it is distance to the sun, and now we're actually like we're 96 miles, a million miles away from the sun, but we was actually further away from the sun when it was spinning faster. But then somehow we got hit with the meteor. It pushed us closer to the sun.
Or it could
and our
hit another
days-
planet
or
and cause
or
us chain
or vice
event.
versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the the asteroid belt.
Yeah,
Why would there be a giant asteroid belt unless a planet
got destroyed.
Yeah, and then
That's a
it
theory
would've-
too. That's really good. That kind of
it-
fits everything. The reason why the planets are the way they are.
it would have affected everything.
And what there's like 15% of that planet left. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
I've been down that rabbit hole.
yeah. So even if or maybe the ark that saved us, we were on the original planet that exploded, and we went
Could've
to
been.
Earth instead of
Anunnaki.
yeah, instead of whatever planet we were originally on, and the ark was actually a boat, like a
Space
spaceship,
boat.
a space boat, and that's why we're on this planet filled with water.
Well, it could be just like they're trying to preserve our species.
Well, they say seeding planets is something.
Yeah, we're
How
trying to
so-
get that
Biological-
How
water
else are
now.
you gonna preserve something? You're not just gonna keep them in capsule. If you can put something over here, like, all right, guys, we have our own shit going on. There's planet Earth over here. We're gonna put these guys on here and just kind of preserve them, see how they work out there for. a few
Or
years.
it's the same thing, but a simulation.
Could be.
Right?
Yeah.
Rather than seeding a planet, like it's all a program.
And we're just
And we're
floating in
part of it.
space.
The Earth is
Yeah.
one of them. Mars is one. There's it's coming around. But then Terrence McKenna, no, Terrence Howard had a pretty cool theory too about the sun producing hydrogen bubbles. And then they start moving away from the sun, collecting stardust as we get into what we are in now as the Goldilocks zone, where climate is stable, where the direct position from the moon and the sun to where we are getting the tides are right from the moon. The what do you call that? Your circadian clock is right because of the sun and the moon. Everything's perfect.
Our polarity
We're
just
96
right.
miles,
The solar
a million
rays
miles
are
away from the
getting-
sun. When we move away from the sun, Mars will enter into the Goldilocks zone or start. It's too close to the sun to produce now, but as it moves further away from the sun,
Are we
and Earth
going
moves-
further away from the sun or closer
Venus.
to the sun?
I think he meant Venus.
Yeah, Venus, not Mars. But,
Okay.
So Mars was already Earth once, but it pushed out further and further, started to be depopulated.
Yeah.
We hopped.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard's the one that I'm
Yeah.
talking about, who kind of
Yeah.
theorized
Yeah,
this in a way.
I listened to that.
Did I send you that link? He talked about that too, also on the Y
Yeah.
files. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting little theory. You know, the sun every 10 million years
Yep.
blows
Pops
this
out
hydrogen
another
bubble,
one.
and it starts pushing away from the sun.
And then Mercury is going to eventually become what Venus is, and then Venus is going to become what Earth is.
And of course, that's going to cause another planet, possibly.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is what happens.
It
And
just
then
keeps doing it.
once Earth gets away, we hop from Earth to Venus. You know, they're talking about inhabiting Mars, but probably they ought to go the other direction. But Venus is mostly gas right now, right?
Right.
So it will eventually collect
Have the
enough shit to get a
ingredients
core.
to be perfect.
Sun starts heating it up. It starts the internal. I don't know. I mean, it's way
It's a
above
cool
my
theory,
pay
though.
grade. But I
Yeah.
think Terrence Howard has a really, really unique mind to be able to come up with these thoughts.
I think Terrence Howard was the one that said there was probably another planet because the way things are, and then he was talking about the asteroid belt being debris from the planet that used to be there, which everything kind of lines up pretty good there. Like, I do like that theory a lot. It's the
Yeah.
only one that really makes sense. So, what's
yeah.
there, like 15%? They're like, well, where's the rest of it? Well, it fucking got destroyed. It kind of went exactly the way he said it would have went. That's exactly how much debris there would have been there in a situation.
Yeah, and I think he was the one that was also talking about lucid dreaming or something like that, where he met,
He met his like 5-year-old self, didn't he?
or yeah, something like that, and was able to open his mind to the universe because of all of that.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
They were doing these studies with mirrors. Start with a C, not concave mirrors. It's something kind of similar in these tubes people are getting into, and you're surrounded, and people are able to do some time traveling through these very inexpensive way to fucking do it, but exactly. I'm gonna have to rewatch that. I'll actually send you that link too later.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. But people, this guy ended up. It may have been the same guy. Ended up with his 5-year-old self out on the street. Is that story?
The story that I remember,
But then he
was
actually talked to himself, if I remember right.
he met an advanced being that asked him what was the one thing that he wanted the most, and he said to understand everything, and then he was given that ability. That's what I remember from Terrence
Okay.
Howard.
I think the problem with that is,
It's a ridiculous question.
well, if
number
you
one.
understood everything, like all of a sudden, if I got it, if I understood, I could no longer communicate with you guys.
No,
I would be
totally
so
different.
far advanced from you. It'd be like trying to talk to a Down
Ant.
syndrome monkey.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's a real thing, but
Oh, Down syndrome's in everywhere.
okay. So there's a Downy monkey, and that's you three.
Yeah.
With the
And then
monkey.
here's me,
Yeah, trying to explain to us the universe.
and you guys end up just jerking your dicks out and fucking like, okay, we'll pick this back up tomorrow, guys. But that's what it would be like if someone that had that much of advanced knowledge on, I don't think that there would be a barrier, a language barrier for sure, because I would be thinking this stuff, and you guys wouldn't be able to pick up my
Well,
telepathy.
that's why a whole lot of people think he's crazy now, because he's taken out patents on
I think he's got like 75 patents or something
on
like that.
designs that don't make sense to anybody else.
Right. But they will.
They very well
That's what
could
he
be.
says, yeah.
He might be so far advanced from us.
It's
that we
like
just
how, again,
don't. And we're arrogant, so we're like,
Not
no, this
wanna
guy don't know.
talk
Yeah.
political stuff or anything like that, but like Trump and Elon Musk like talking. People will say Donald Trump's dumb as a rock, although he's made it pretty good being a business guy.
He's been president
He's
twice.
president of the United States, so he can't be that dumb. I wouldn't say if you're into a situation like that.
I
And
think
then you
it's
have
hard to
Elon
talk
Musk.
to people.
Everybody's talking about how he's like a genius and stuff, but these two communicate. Like I can't imagine two dumb people or
Well,
a really
one
smart
real
guy
smart-
talk.
Yeah, talking to someone who's super dumb.
Right.
Elon, your brain's beautiful. Some people would say the most
best.
beautiful. It's probably the best.
Probably the best.
The best.
Probably the best. If not the best, one of the best.
The best.
Probably the best.
It is perfect.
Yeah, but I wonder how many people are out there that there was a guy I was just watching clips on reels, and this guy, they brought him on, and he had the IQ of higher than anybody's ever, 200 and something. He had the highest IQ ever, and then he was basically, this video was saying, yes, I've got the biggest IQ in the entire world. There's absolutely a God. And I'm like, well,
Well, if you believe in everything is possible,
no, I'm just like, but he was like,
is
he was
anybody
saying,
really wrong?
I have the highest IQ. He was just a dude.
Right.
He
Of
was
course,
just
it's a guy.
He was just a dude. Yeah, of course it's a guy. He's just a dude that he does have a high IQ, but like he still didn't give an explanation for why God was real. He just said, "Oh, in my experience, absolutely." It's like, well, in your fucking experience, you're a human just like the rest of us. Like, I don't know. I see some people that are very, very intelligent, and then I'm like, man, am I so stupid that I can't understand what he's talking about? Because he's explaining to me why there can't be a God. And another guy just as smart as him is explaining why there can be a God. And I'm like, I understand both of you perfectly clear, and neither one of you are presenting a good case. It's horrible, and you're supposed to be very intelligent. I don't think you are.
I was on TikTok the other day, coming across, speaking of IQs, like celebrities that are extremely smart. Like some of them had bigger IQs than like Albert Einstein, and the guy that played in Rocky, the Russian guy, is extremely fucking smart. Like got a very high IQ. Natalie Portman was another one that was just super high.
Super hot. Fuck yeah, she is. Natalie Portman.
No, but
I even thought she was hot in the Walmart Baby. You all remember that when she played in that movie on Hallmark, the Walmart Baby? She lived in
yes,
Walmart.
yes, I
underneath the
remember that
clothing.
movie. It's based on a true story.
Yeah, she lived
Yes.
in a clothing rack at Walmart.
I
She'd
thought you were
take
gonna
her
say
baby
Leon
that
the
night.
Professional, but
I
I don't remember that.
didn't know that.
Well,
happened.
I mean, she was young in that one, but
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's actually a really good fucking movie. I only watched it that one time, but I do remember that, and it was based on a true story. I only watched it because my mom told me to watch it.
I mean, she's successful. Imagine going from having a baby in a Walmart to being the princess of a whole entire,
right?
the galactic force. It's be badass. Natalie Portman's the shit.
But yeah, it was like her. There was a few others in there. I was really surprised.
Like
the
big
Russian-
name actors.
Yeah, that
Huh.
are like physicists and very smart and higher IQs than like Einstein kind of shit. They just happen to float through Hollywood.
I bet I'm pushing it easy.
Oh,
80
the guy that played Mr. Bean,
IQ, 82.
extreme genius, had no idea. Stupid humor, Mr. Bean.
Bean?
Yeah, very very smart guy.
That's why maybe he never talked.
I found it.
Maybe.
People couldn't understand him. He was so intellectual.
Sorry, but
Mr. Bean, genius.
Yes, like very high up there.
No shit.
And then of course the guy that was the highest one, I can't remember his name. He didn't look familiar to me at all. But there was like out of the 10, like 6 or 7 of them. Like holy shit, I didn't see that one coming.
well, Hollywood probably is easy for them.
Probably
and
so.
It's the best way to make money. If you can do
Memorize the
it.
lines, make a lot of money. Do some
Pretending
talent.
to have emotions,
Yeah.
As they've had to do that their whole lives anyways, pretend to be
to have
normal,
emotions. Yeah,
to be like everybody
It's like,
else, but you're
oh.
not.
you're saying something sad.
Yeah, imagine though that would be an odd feeling, like when you see people and you have no empathy or anything. You're just like, their dad died. That's what happens, because you're so cynical about things. You're like, yeah, your dad died. That's a normal part of life. Well, I don't know why you're upset about this. And they get like, bawling their eyes out, and you're just like, this is because I would imagine at some point you in order to be very very intelligent, you would have to turn emotion off because you can't let emotion play into your decision
Well,
making.
they just got to be good at their job. They've done it for so long.
No, I'm talking about if you're a genius, like you can't expand your genius
Right.
by being like the rest of the normal people. You have to shut those emotions off because a lot of people make decisions
Off
based on
emotions.
emotion and they lie. I've been doing research for 10 years on this and this is my theory, but then all of a sudden one day I found out my theory's wrong. But I've got all this research money behind it and everything, and I'm making now an emotional decision to lie and continue my research
It happens.
to where somebody that's a super genius is like, I've got to start over. My theory was wrong, but I learned this from that and go
Yeah,
on.
Let's do the next thing. Yeah.
So you'd have to be a little bit emotionless, I think, right? Like, because that's why you're making these decisions. It's ego. Like, I was wrong, but I can't let people know. I'll lose my research. I'll lose everything. And so but somebody that had
You can
more,
actually believe a lie in a situation like that.
you can lie to yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely so.
And then believe it. Like
Yep.
you lied, you made up the lie, and then made up the belief in that lie, and then now that's set in stone.
And now you
That's
have
the
too
way
much
it
time
happens.
invested in it, and you don't want to die a failure. So of course you're going to push it all you can, even
Which
if
is
you
like-
know it's the lie.
Is what's stifling our understanding of the actual pyramids. Is so many gatekeepers that are in mainstream archaeology.
But that also makes sense because my biggest question about the ice wall was if there's advanced people inside the
why aren't
wall,
they coming over here?
then why aren't they helping us? But if they're so smart, so logical, and all that stuff, they've removed emotion from it. So
We're mice in a cage to them,
Yeah.
probably.
they're basically
We are the lab rats.
That's right.
They're basically thinking, well, if we help them, then it's going to like emotionally, you're thinking they should help us. They should bring us into all of that stuff.
But logically
speaking,
Yeah,
if
I
you
agree
give
with you.
Yeah.
us something amazing, it's going to screw everything up for
Well,
us.
look at we're already at fear every single day of a thermonuclear attack from another country or us attacking another country. That's why we don't have so many wars. Is guaranteed assurance that we don't destroy one another is the nukes.
And that's probably why aliens are just sending drones. It's because
Yeah, they're like, no, these guys could go nuts at any fucking moment.
yeah, if we help them out at this point, then it could go bad for the whole world.
They'll never help themselves either.
Yeah, we have to get to a point where
We can help ourselves.
we have to get to a point where we can handle new information, new stuff. But right now, alien comes down and says, "Hey, we exist. it's going to send us in.
A frenzy.
Yeah. And
Is it
so-
hard for any of you guys to believe that the Earth is bigger than what we think it is? Like walk from here to Wichita and then tell me how big the planet is. Just walk to Wichita. You know what I'm saying? Not drive your car. Go out on the turnpike and walk to Wichita. And you're going to be like, Jesus Christ. Like, I walked this distance. In a car, it doesn't seem like anything. You're going 65, 75.
Driving a horse and buggy, even not walking.
Yeah, okay, right. You're a horse. However you want to do it, you put it in perspective for yourself.
Bicycle.
The Earth is huge. Montana is huge. Texas is huge. You can fit several states in that.
Well,
Those states are huge. but
Alaska is bigger yet.
Alaska's huge.
I think you put 2 or 3 Texases in that.
So
it's pretty big, yeah.
I've
when
been
you
watching
think
it.
about how big these places are, and we've just experienced in a state, driving across the state of Kansas takes all day.
It
It takes 10 hours, not 10 hours, probably 6 or 7, 8
I'd say
hours.
4.
Well, from here to fucking,
Colorado's like 6.
from here to Dodge City is 4 hours.
Right, and you're right there next to Colorado, so 5.
But we're
6.
not at the bottom of the state, and Dodge City's not at the top of the
I know,
state.
I'm
It'd
talking
be a
about
little
from-
longer.
I mean, it doesn't
It
matter.
really doesn't make a
But
difference.
I mean,
Well,
6 hours is still a long
it's a
time
long
driving
time.
at 70, 80 mile an hour running.
Now
around.
you talk about driving across the United States.
So this is where you got me. Like you're talking about, is it really ridiculous for me to believe planet Earth is bigger than what we actually think it is? Because I don't know how big planet Earth is.
I don't either. There's no way. I just know what a globe looks
I
like.
just know how long it's taken me to drive from here to Wyoming.
17 hours.
And you
probably.
can fly anywhere you want with it, or drive anywhere you want from here in about 24 hours.
Probably
Ish.
close to it.
But we live right in the heartland.
And then you got to go across. It takes like 16 hours to get to Australia, right?
Australia
On a
doesn't
plane.
exist if you're a flat earther. It's all simulation.
Well, I mean, but let's just say that Australia does exist, and there's a bunch of fine bitches that look like American girls, but they're tan and they speak with this accent, mate. Call you mate.
Mate,
Good day, mate. God, that shivers me timbers when I hear that. But you know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's not that hard for me to believe because I'm looking at things through my own experience, which isn't a lot. I haven't traveled that far. Haven't even been out of the United States. I've been barely in the United States, just mostly in Kansas and the Midwest.
I guess if you got on the equator and figured out like how long it takes to go from one time zone to the other, you could probably get a pretty good idea all the way around.
What we think the equator is. We are only getting data that's been given to us. I've never went and measured it myself.
right?
I don't know where the equator is.
Yeah,
to
how many
even
time
start.
zones are there?
I don't know.
There's
5?
24. 24 hours a day, there's 24 time zones. That's a
Okay.
definite thing. But how many of that's over ocean that doesn't affect us at all?
Well,
How many active time zones are there for people that are living?
5, right?
I don't know. I know I asked this question a few years ago because I was like, how many time zones are there? And I was like, well, it was 24. It's like, well, that makes perfect fucking sense. There's 24 hours in a day.
Well, I mean, I guess depends on how you judge time.
But
and to find the equator, I would go to Ecuador. Because that means.
But I'm saying you
equator.
can't like if I want to travel from equator to equator personally and see it with my eyes, that's going to be a feat. Impossible. As we know, you'd have to have feet. You have to have boats. You have to have planes. You can't just do it. You can't walk around the world. You have to fly. You have to have navigation for that. You have to have at least a compass to keep you on the path, and then fuel. I don't know. I just don't
I
know.
don't know how I'd word that.
I'd say it's very
How many
easy.
active time zones?
to
or
fool
how
the
many
majority
time
of the
zones? Like,
world.
what would you say to figure out how many? We know there's 24 time zones, but how many of them affect
I think active is a good question.
active time zones? How?
Well, it would still matter if you were out in the middle of the Atlantic.
Right, if you're on a cruise.
Time still matters, but
So
are you
technically, if
on-
you're at the North Pole and the South Pole, you're at all 24 time zones.
plus say that you're driving across the country, you could be in every time zone in a day. Not at the same time, but
you can be one at the exact same time if
like
you're
5 o'clock where you leave.
true
California.
point of like the North Pole, you'd be technically in every single time zone. You could look over here to that door and be like, oh, there's 2 o'clock there, 3 o'clock over here. just walk a circle. Because the time zones come in and they all meet, right? Am I correct on that?
No, that we're thinking of it correctly.
And then there's larger time zones in the middle, like a basketball coming around it.
The Earth is flat. We've already went through this. I don't know why you're putting a basketball into the equation.
Well, then the time zone in the middle, it'll all meet up because we're cutting it like
Yes,
a pizza.
That's why Kansas is always noon.
I knew.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, that's Kansas. That's why we're all drinking.
This is apparently half hour and quarter hour time zones too.
Oh, you just so
Which
now
means
there's
40 globally, 40 time zones.
what about leap year? Now we're really getting into
I
it.
did want to talk about this and the people out here right now
What people out where?
on the podcast.
There's been some people on. There's someone right there.
So there's a new fad going on right now with tattoos, and I did 3 in one day. I ain't ever done one. All of a sudden, 3 in one day.
Pride flag.
No,
No.
people
It
are
makes
getting how many days they spent with a loved one. Like your mom lives, dies, and then they're doing days now. You might see like 10,562 days. Which I was like, all right, well, I've done 3 of these and there's more coming in. There's already more on the books. But I ain't wondering if these people are trying to figure out themselves or if they're throwing a leap year in there and how many of these are going to be wrong here in the next few.
I never thought about that.
Probably be easier for me to just get a tattoo of how many days it's been since I jerked off. Because it'd just be a 1.
Right?
Then you wouldn't have to do the math.
Oh yeah.
No math.
But I find it although it's a very interesting thing, and it's been all women that have gotten this so far.
Well, they're stupid, so it makes sense.
You can't say that. We're
Okay.
trying to get by Nate.
Oh,
I'll be
You
back.
offended him.
I'm sorry, Nate.
You beat me to it.
You're one of the hottest women I know, Nate.
Little bitch.
God damn. I
Run away
that's a
from
good
your
gun.
emotions.
I don't run away from them. I display them to everyone. I'm a woman.
He's man-straightened.
He just mansplained that to us as a woman. That's fucked up.
Is there anything else?
No, man, I want to know. I wanted to hear about this. I'm interested. When
No,
did this
people-
fad start?
What day is this? Sunday. I did 3 in the same day. I think it was Wednesday.
Did these women come in as a group? Or
No.
was this is just separate shit, huh?
And I've known the women for years, but I just find it very.
Were
odd.
any of them hot?
Yeah, they're all hot.
You say that about everybody.
I know. I love everybody.
Hard to trust your word.
They're my clients. I'm gonna say, yeah, that one girl was butt ugly. No,
You've told people I was ugly before.
you are. Anywho,
So it's a sexist thing.
they're getting
with
now. I don't know if they're actually going in and doing 365 days times that, not counting for the 4-year leap year, which I'm hoping they
I'm
are.
sure you could Google AI now and say, like, how old is my mom in days? She was born in September 3rd. So
Yeah, that might be how they're doing it.
Because then they would, AI, I'm assuming, would configure
You would hope so.
Or you get a message when you get home after you get your tattoo. It's your AI assistant. It's like, I was wrong about that number. After some further research, it's actually you're 3 days off. And now you got your mom's.
Anyways, I just want everybody to know, do some research on that. Just don't go off of Google, I guess. Or
Who's going to know?
Again, nobody's gonna know
If I
but
have
the
a
person that
tattoo
got
says
it.
10,365, they're like, what's that tattoo for? I'm like, my mom's been alive. Well, she was. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get the tattoo. It's got to be a dead person that you're getting the tattoo
Right.
of, or the numbers would continue to change.
I'll tell you another story about that after the camera's off.
Oh, this is going to get juicy. Well, I'm good to go on this.
Good.
We've been going a couple hours. Ryan, do you have anything that you want to talk about this morning? You've been pretty quiet, although you've been pretty cheery.
I have. I've been gathering information.
Just to save for later.
Yeah.
Probably using it against us.
No, it was interesting. This was a good podcast. I just enjoyed listening to your guys' talks on theories and everything.
my theory of I don't know jack shit. I just say it
Hey,
as it's coming out of my
That's why
mouth.
it's a theory, man. Everyone's theory is
You do
jack
it so
shit until it
effortless,
becomes
though.
approved.
Yeah, I've been bullshitting for a long time, John. This isn't something I just picked up.
Practice a lot.
I started when I was, well, the theory of mind with kids. I've talked to you about it. Have I talked to you about it before? The theory of mind, it's what happens to all kids around 2, 3, 4 years old. When the baby cries, mom, dad, give it a bottle, change its diaper, whatever, there's no question. So for a long time, the kid thinks when it cries, you just can read its mind. You know what it's thinking. So they just don't ask for anything. But one day a kid, as they start to develop and the brain develops, they say something to you that might be not true. And then you are like, oh, okay. And then that's when a kid figures out, oh, they didn't know what I was thinking, so they start to test it. And usually by lying. Did you eat all your supper? I sure did. And they dump the food out off the...
Because they're getting rewarded with dessert.
No, they just are trying to see if you can read their mind. Because for all of eternity, since the day that they've been born, when they cry, you pop a bottle in their mouth, or you change their diaper, or you hug them, you make the crying go away. So as they develop in their mind, they think that parents know what they're thinking. But once they figure out that parents, oh, wait a second, that's when people start to lie. Because you didn't know before, you thought your parents knew everything, but you're just testing them to see if they know what you know in a really, really, undeveloped mind's way of processing things. They're like, yes, I ate all my food. And then your mom's like, oh, okay, good job. She didn't see you get up and throw it in the trash. So you successfully not only lied to your parent, but the kid now knows that the parents don't know what I'm thinking. So it's the theory of mind is what that's called.
Okay.
About 2 or 3, kids start lying. They start, why?
Yeah, that makes
Why?
sense. I've never really even thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
And
And our minds are so underdeveloped, in reality.
Especially
We don't know shit. We don't, like I said, we already talked about it. We don't know what to eat.
Okay,
That's good for us.
speaking of eating, if none of us had to worry about food at all, just say there was a buffet with every human on planet Earth, you could just eat whatever you want at any time you want. There's not really the problem of having to go make the food, hunt the cow, just food.
Mm-hmm.
So we have access to food. There's a buffet in here right now.
It's got candy bars too.
Whatever you want,
Sugar and stuff.
anything you want.
Most people are going for the sugar.
Do you think that growing up around that, not being coaxed into anything, do you think there'd still be an obesity problem?
Oh yeah.
Like listen, you're not running out of food. It's always going to be there.
It doesn't matter.
Are you going to
dude. That's
eat
not why people eat.
to get just because you're hungry? Or are you going to walk by? It's like, oh, there's a celery stick. Eat it. Are you going to be grazing all day, just walking through, or are you going to eat to get full because you don't know when your next meal is going to be there?
Dude, there's too many variables that we haven't talked about with this. How far advanced are we? Do we understand any type of diet? Have we been on diets before? Is it right now?
Let's just say there wasn't. No, you grew up like this, not just all of a sudden today. Because
And your parents grew up like this too?
everybody,
And
there's just constant food.
We'd be fucked. We'd be lazy. There'd be no work. There'd be no type of exploration. Be nothing. We have everything we need.
But would
We
you
want
eat to
sex.
live or?
You want sex still?
Yeah, but I mean,
aside from
I'm
that,
saying, would you?
We work for food and shelter.
I know, but do you think like that study's probably been done with
I think
mice.
people would go for the easiest food with the most calorie density, which would be fucking candy, sugar, ice cream. Like
biscuits
that's
and gravy and beer.
no, your
They
taste
would
buds only
definitely-
recognize fat. They only recognize sugar, salt, and fat. That's
If
it.
you fed
They don't recognize
mice-
anything else.
once a day, just a portion amount, you're gonna have people fighting over it, trying to figure out what to do. But if there was food just constantly there, I wonder if they would really
I think it would stifle our creativeness and our innovation.
think so.
Yeah, too easy, Pete. You gotta. When life gets too easy,
But walking's too easy. It'd just be a normal part of life, like breathing or anything.
but why do you do it? Why do you walk, John? Is it part of it because you enjoy the morning?
Oh, I love
But
it.
part of it is you're doing this for exercise too.
No,
I mean,
no, I just enjoy walking.
just enjoy walking.
I love it.
So how much?
But then my hip got fucked up, remember?
Mhm.
So I've really taken a whole new appreciation since I was able to walk for like 6 months.
I remember you were drunk. I roundhouse kicked you into the middle of next week, and you thought you fell into this manhole, but it was actually me. You don't remember that? Can't believe you're that wasted. You don't remember I'm the reason that your hip was sore for so long, John. From a fight we had when you were wasted, and it wasn't much of a fight. I just fucked you up. Still don't remember. Now I think he's trying to process to see if I really did it. I didn't.
We were so drunk we don't remember anything. Remember?
Remember?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's cut it off. It's 9:15. It's been good. Unless you guys got some. I think we've pretty much figured out all of the planet spot problems and solutions to those.
Oh, and sorry, Joe Rogan. I didn't really mean to talk shit.
I thought we were against Joe Rogan and we were
For the
for
Liver
the
King?
Liver King.
Never mind.
Yeah, fuck you, Rogan. Say it on your podcast if you got a problem with us, Joe Rogan. Go ahead and say how you hate the bipolar sunrise on your podcast.
All right.
Okay, cool. Thanks, everybody. Except for Ryan didn't say much.
He's listening.
He's just